Welcome to Cosmic Gems. We are a dynamic duo blending shamanic wisdom and astrological insights to help you come into divine alignment and navigate life with ease.
Yes, I'm so happy and grateful to be here with you, Akita. And what are our intentions for this?
Our intentions are one, to focus on the first quarter moon and all those action steps that we can do while the first quarter moon is in play. We're here to share these divine messages, as well as to translate the corresponding astrological energy so that you can make the most out of them and play and have more confidence and godfidence in the decisions that you make for you and your soul evolution.
Indeed, we're going to connect with the cosmos and nurture the relationship with the universe so we can blow open the lines of communication with
Mhm.
the divine.
Yes, so excited. So excited. Hey, Eva. How are
Akita,
you?
Akita, so nice to be here with you.
I know we
Finally.
finally got here, right? All right, welcome to Cosmic Jazz, everybody. This is our first episode.
Oh, there's so much. Well, do we want to start with,
What brought us here? What
yeah?
landed us here together?
Mm-hmm.
So, my name is Akita, and I came all the way from the Bahamas, and I'm currently located in Nassau, Bahamas right now as well. And how I got here was through so many different channels, but I was discussing this earlier. I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking, well, it was definitely numerology, astrology that got me here. Been reading my horoscope since I was a little girl, and went from the astrology perspective. Um, I read that, well, I guess it would be numerology. I read that I would be climbing up a mountain until I was 50. And then once I reached the age of 50, then I would be coming down the mountain and giving back to everybody what I was learning as I was climbing up the mountain. So I think this is a part of my climbing up the mountain and me continuing to learn more stuff and maybe giving a little back before I get to the top. But as I get to the top of the mountain, just sharing some of the information that I'm learning along the way. I've studied numerology or just played with numerology all my life. I've read astrology books and followed my horoscope basically for all of my life. And in 2019, I would say, I started to prepare for shamanism and I started to get dreams. So dreams also led me here. And I started to get dreams and signs and symbols and numbers
Mm-hmm.
leading me to shamanism. And I also have an aromatherapy business. And I started to encounter shamans in my store once I had that dream. So I tapped into their knowledge and then I started studying shamanism. And I've been doing that for the past 4 years, right? So along the way, I fell in love with crystals. I've always adored crystals and giving crystals away. And also as a child, I also used to tell people, or in my 20s, I used to tell people that in ancient times, people knew the value of crystals and we have lost that knowledge and that hopefully that knowledge returns to us. And I think that I'm really a part of those people that have come back to teach and to bring back some ancient knowledge and to remind people of the ancient knowledge. So in my own adventure and exploration with crystals, I decided to in February of this year start a I don't know if it's a vlog or whatever. It's not a vlog, but I just started to do a crystal exploration.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing it, like I said, since February, and I tap into a crystal and I tap into a dragon energy, and then I kind of focus on the combined energy of the crystal and the dragon, and I create a rainbow code with it, and I do some writings and videos and stuff with that. And I think that's what brought you and I together.
Yeah, those videos are
You
fantastic.
right, you tapped into one of my clear crystal messages, or crystal clarity messages, and I saw your gem astrology. It was kismet from there. So this is how I got here.
Thank goddess you followed your intuition because that's what led us here.
Yes.
And you still look like you're in your 20s, so I don't know
Thank you.
if you want to, like, I don't know, divulge, but we'll keep that under a secret. Um,
Birthday this year, and forties is a special age. So I'm in my 40s, and
mhm.
I'm loving it. I tell people that it is true that life starts over at 40. So technically, I'm still a toddler. That's how I think
Yep.
about it.
I know we are, inner children, like really at heart, if you think about it. And that's what we're here to do is like reconnect with
Yeah.
our inner children.
Yep. And
And
I did all of my inner child work in my
Mhm.
40s. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really do feel
Right.
brand new some days. Yeah.
I mean, especially now, like in these days, like especially after the past 4 or 5 years, people are wanting to disconnect from that hustle, the
Yeah.
rat wheel, and reconnect with the inner child because the inner child has
Yes.
been ignored or pushed aside or, just haven't had the proper attention and nurturance,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
really in so many generations. And so
Yeah.
that's what I feel like we have come together for. Like it's
Yeah.
really crazy how not only because I look at our charts and I see how our charts have lined up for this purpose, and we are both ninth house north nodes, and so
Oh,
the north node is our destiny path, and
okay.
the ninth house is sharing wisdom, it's higher knowledge, it's astrology, it's foreign travel, and they can be in different signs, but it's still in the ninth house.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um but yeah, I feel like blending your shamanism with my astrological insight, it kind of validates all of the things that we are
Woo-woo.
not able to see. Exactly. What did you call it? The woo woo
Woo-woo.
support.
Important.
Hello, thank you for calling woo woo support.
Yeah. One of the things we discovered, we were like kind of trying to figure out a name, and then they said, well, we could just be the woo-woo supporters.
I
So
mean, weird woo woo, like all are welcome,
yes,
because I
all
don't
are
know if you
welcome.
felt this way, like growing up, and especially now being in that, real world, work world, feeling like you don't belong, like
Mhm.
corporate.
I I definitely felt like that along the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And even it's interesting, like I when I was okay, I'm 45. So the whole 44 experience for me was okay, I'm on a connecting flight. And as
Mhm.
soon as I got to 45, I started saying, I've landed, I've arrived.
Yeah.
I didn't feel out of place. Now, before 40, I don't know. I think I felt out of place more like maybe around 20s or 30s. But as I started to find more, I think as I started to find more of my gifts and talents
Yeah.
that were kind of off the normal wheel and of life,
Yeah.
then I started to realize, oh, I am supposed to be here. This
Hmm.
is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think, as you were saying, like coming into healing our inner child, that was such a big part of it. Because I think I have an aromatherapy business that I started in 29. You probably have the chart and the astrology around that,
Hmm.
right? Um, I think that was like my first step into healing my inner child. And then I needed to go a little deeper with the shamanism, you know. And all my college life, I would get nervous doing presentations and for classes. Even though I was familiar and good in good standing with everybody, I would just have these anxiety attacks whenever I needed to do presentations.
Yeah.
When I discovered the spa industry, why'd you laugh?
No, I feel like the anxiety, like giving presentations. Yeah,
It still happens. You still relate to
I
that?
have Saturn in Leo, so I'm like I'm behind the scenes. I'm like, don't put the attention
Uh,
on me. Don't give me the microphone. Don't tell me to
uh,
like no.
okay. But
And
you're breaking past that, even in these moments now. You're breaking past that. That's
well, yeah,
beautiful.
it's a little bit easier in front of a screen because you don't see like a field of people.
Mhm.
So
Okay. And I never thought about
technology
it that
has,
way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you're
yeah,
talking, it's like doing mirror work, but when you have that crowd there, it's the real people. So I
right,
would always get anxiety attacks doing that
yeah.
in college, and I was shy, very, very shy as a child. But when I discovered the spa industry, I could start like my mom would ask me, do you mind doing a little talk to my students? My mother's a teacher.
Mm,
And I would be like, okay, yes. And I just was like, and it wasn't until I think after I did that first one, I realized I'm not afraid to talk about this.
oh,
So
that's great.
it was just like once I found what I really needed to connect to, part of that shyness and not wanting to engage with people started to shed and shed and more shed.
Mhm.
Now I'm like, I got the gift of gab, so you gotta tell me to shut up.
Yes, you do. Girl. This might be the Akita interview show segment. So let's see
What do
that.
you do?
What time did we start that? Like 20 minutes ago.
Listen,
I mean, that's the Leo energy. That's the beauty of astrology is that when we know these placements, we can, see it and love it and admire it and appreciate it and acknowledge it. But I mean, the Pisces energy is like, no, go ahead. No, no, you first. No.
okay. So like Cuba, tell them about
Yes.
yourself. Tell them how you got here and all of your brilliance.
Well, let's see. There's so much that I feel like has led up to this point. I think what we were talking about was, not fitting in. And so, being a Capricorn rising, there's that inclination to sort of keep climbing, doing the traditional routes of success.
Mhm.
And I mean, I came out to San Francisco solo. I've been here for 18 years now.
So you did the 18 years. That's a
Right.
total, and
That's
now
the
it's a
that's
return. So what does that actually mean?
So the North Node in Pisces was when I moved to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And so the North Node is finishing up in Aries because it moves backwards and it's about to re-enter Pisces
Mm-hmm.
again. So it hasn't done
Okay,
that in
okay,
18 years. And
okay.
so it's hitting my Sun and Mercury. And for me, that means another move. So it's time to
Ah,
relocate.
excellent.
But
And where are you thinking of
oh well,
going?
let's not diverge too far now. Oh yeah, I've already got my eyes on some spots, but I was talking about like, my time in San Francisco. It's been this experience of, like pursuing and exploring and, you know, having all these awesome experiences in tech. Like there's been so much, like I never imagined that I would be working in tech and like corporate environments, startups. But Uranus is in my 10th house, which is the planet of change and disruption in the house of career, and which which lends to a very diverse work background. And
Mhm.
so it took a lockdown, like the COVID lockdown, for me to remove myself from that environment and like really stopped me because I moved to San Francisco to get my cosmetology license, which I
Ah,
did like toward the end, like in 2017. But then I got back into corporate again, thinking that like, oh, this is going to be it. Like
this
I
is where
became
you're supposed to be.
what's that?
But this is where you're supposed to be in the corporate versus
Well, yeah,
the.
it was all these tests. Like it was a recruiting position, which my dad was a recruiter in the Navy, and it was for I guess like technically a medical device company for Juul, which is like a smoking cessation device. And my dad was a smoker. So I just found all these, synchronicities thinking that, okay, this is going to be it. But it was killing me. You know,
Ah,
there was so much rapid growth and it was killing everybody really, like the workload. And it took, the lockdown at the beginning of 2020. Like I was part of the layoffs in late 2019, and then COVID hit in 2020. And so my
mhm.
midlife crisis happened during the lockdown.
Got
And
it.
so it was pretty, you know, I don't know, kismet. Are we overusing that word, kismet?
I
But
know.
it
It's just
seriously was
like,
like, had it not been for that complete shutdown, like would I
yeah.
have been able to really dive into astrology, which I have always been into? It's
Mhm.
always been the go-to astrologer, like dream
Yeah,
interpreter
yeah,
for
yeah,
my friends,
yeah.
like they would
Yes.
give me books on astrology and dream books. And, it took that lockdown for me to really dive deeply. And then,
Dedicate to dedicate yourself or to
right,
devote yourself to the path.
yeah, exactly. And the accessibility of information online now, like, is
Yes. Yeah.
is way
Yeah.
more like amazing
Yeah.
than it
Fair.
was when I was a teenager, and it's
Mhm.
a little bit more accepted to be in, this kind of field. I mean, it's not
Oh,
like the most,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the most like lucrative, especially starting out, but
Yeah.
that's not what we do it for. We're
Yeah.
not
And
trying to
I
like,
think anything that we start, we kind of have to like build, you gotta build it. You have to build your business, anything that's gonna be a business, you gotta build that clientele and
yeah, you
that
got to
trust.
build it with the passion that, like the spark has got to be
Mhm.
authentic, and that's what we're also helping people to do is, find that spark in them so that they can detach from the programming that we've been
Mhm.
subject to for generations
Yeah.
and line it up with, you know, the intuition, you know, access and application of the crystals
Yes.
and divination and validate it with astrology because astrology it's not a matter of whether you believe it or not because it's a language. You don't believe in
Mhm.
English, you don't believe in Spanish.
Right.
You
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
you know it and can speak it and understand it, or
Yes.
you
Yes.
just have to be open to it, willing to learn.
Yeah.
And once you understand the symbols and how it relates to your chart, because everybody's everybody's chart is like stamped with a signature of the energies that you're here to experience and meld with everyone else that you come across.
Yeah.
It's like this crazy, beautiful dance that appears like chaos, but there's so much brilliance in the order that
Yes.
like even
Yes.
our charts, how we just
Well,
sort of, like came together.
yeah, because even as I'm listening to you, I know like we've had well, every time we meet, we experience a period of synchronicities. I
Uh,
was supposed to go to cosmetology school as well, and even when I finished my degree, I wanted to go to Aveda, which was gonna get I was gonna get some of that cosmetology in that
yeah.
esthetician program. So I don't think it's on my list anymore, but it's just interesting that how you said, hey, you wanted to go to cosmetology school. I begged my mom to
Right.
allow me to go to
Well,
cosmetology
it's a
school.
good thing you didn't go because you know what now, like I feel like instead of a Veda, like esthetician school, it aren't you going to school to be an herbalist?
Yes, yes, yes. I haven't announced that yet, but here we are.
Oh, sorry. I mean, yeah,
No, that's
there's
fine. That's fine. As we put ourselves on these paths, becomes and deepens our self-discovery, and again helps to heal that inner child. So all of this is a part of healing your inner child and finding your true self. As you find these paths, and something was coming up to it was like corporate or creative. And
mm,
sometimes it's like we kind of have to make that choice to follow the corporate path or the creator's path. And I
mm,
think sometimes there really is a distinction in the road with that. Not that one is better than the other. And also, too, we have walked both. And most of the time, you end up walking both. And then you can decide which one really serves you better, your personality,
yeah.
as well as sometimes you have to merge them. So even though
Yes, exactly.
I did a lot of corporate, now I'm more on the creative side, but a lot of that corporate stuff, I still have to entangle and merge into my now creative stuff. So no matter what
Totally.
we do, if we are wise about ourselves, it helps us. There's nothing that is ever done in vain because we
No,
apply it down the road, whether it's 10 years or 15 years or a couple of days later. You
totally.
can merge it all together. Yeah.
And that's the thing is like if we do, when we come into our own creativity, our intuitive creativity, we are able to inspire others
Yeah.
and allow that. I mean, this is where that Leo Aquarius access comes in, is when, you know, that energy is sparked in us to create from the heart. It's contagious and you can inspire others to do the same. And then before you know it, we have the collective doing the same thing and, you know,
Mhm.
detaching away from um, what is not authentic. And there's a way to kind of integrate the two sides of creativity and corporate, you know, like
Right.
where there's so much Capricorn energy, which is corporations and business building and
You're right.
wealth
Yes, yes,
building.
yes. The
We
top.
can't like
Yeah, the
we
top.
can't like
Yeah.
right hierarchy. We can't
Yeah.
completely, you know, get rid
Be
of it. We
beneath
have to
that.
learn from
Right.
it. We have to
Yes.
take
Yeah.
what is good from it and
Yes.
integrate it
Yes. Yep.
and come, you know, like combine it
And
with
also making
our
it work for
intuitive.
the yeah, and also making it work more for the success of the collective as opposed to
Right.
just the top. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, that pyramid is going to flip. So
Yes.
it's not going to be the collective is going to be at the top, and the people in power, like the people who make decisions, will be at the bottom.
Right. And also too, when I think about even that pyramid structure, when I look at it, we sometimes forget it's a triangle, right? And it's a pyramid, but really it's a diamond because we forget
Mhm.
that we were only looking at one. It's like, are you looking at the glass half full or half empty? When we call it just a triangle with the pyramid, we're not acknowledging that it's actually a diamond. So if we look at it
Mhm.
in its fullness, it should all actually play out, right? It should be equal and balanced within the full
Right.
diamond
There's
of
different
the structure.
facets,
Yeah, yeah. It
different
should be
facets of the
equal
diamond.
on all ends. If it's a diamond, it's actually in balance. But when you look at it as just a pyramid,
Two
there is even
dimensional.
imbalance in that, right? In
Right.
the pyramid structure, but the diamond structure is balanced.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
So
started talking about some astrology.
of course, yeah, that's what we came here to do, right? And yeah, the
So,
astrology is lit.
so astrology. Wait. Yeah,
Seriously.
so go into it. Well, let's also tell them just a little bit of the structure of Cosmic Gems or the structure that they're trying to give it. And that
Well,
we want to also, we talk about what's going on with the moons, right? Definitely. So that's where Eva will come in and she'll talk about the moons. And we're focusing the show also around the first quarter moon because it's like I call it the best kept moon secret because I just figured it out last year and oh actually this year and working with it this year. This year is going by so quickly it feels like last year. But yeah, I just started working with the quarter moon, first quarter moon energy
Hmm.
earlier this year, and I was introduced to it, and I didn't realize how powerful it was.
Hmm.
And I think most of us just kind of look at the new moon and the full moon, and this first quarter moon is like you don't really acknowledge it. So I really wanted to bring it more forward in our consciousness, and it's a great because and everybody wants to manifest. Everybody wants to manifest a job, manifest a destination, a location, a goal, a certain amount of cash. Like we are here to manifest something,
Love.
right?
Yeah.
So if we're here to manifest, the first quarter moon is a big part of that because the first quarter moon helps us to put our actions or put our actions to our words, right? So that's the time when we act. That's the time when we move forward. That's the time when if the new moon is seeding and releasing, then the quarter moon is okay. I'm gonna on just seated with the new moon, all right? And then the full moon is okay, let me see what all of my actions and seeding has brought forth to me. But that first quarter moon is the perfect time to do your actions towards your goals, right? And we're always doing something, but if you're going to move forward, you want to move forward during that first quarter moon time. So this is why we are going together around the first quarter moon so that we can continue to manifest our goals and
Love
trusting
it.
again that intuition.
Hmm.
And since we know you're not good talking about yourself, you see, her brain, she's an astrologer, right? Tell them about all of the stuff that you do because you don't just do astrology, you also do mapping and stuff like that. So tell them all about that too and the depth of your knowledge and the variety of different astrology that you and the different ways you look at it because you are not the average astrologer.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. But yeah, I do specialize in astrocartography. During the lockdown, that's really what got me focused on. It's also called astro mapping or astro location, and using your birth chart to map out where the most ideal places are in the world for you to have a certain experience. And so I don't like to say like having, the best place to travel for you. It just depends on what you're looking for. So I do love astrocartography.
Hmm.
But there's also, solar returns, synastry. Uh,
Synastry, Eva. What's synastry? I don't know what that is. What's synastry?
Synastry is when it's like matching, like when you take two birth charts and you put them on top of each other and see how like the energies play with each other.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, you can do it for your,
So with that,
you can do,
I'm sure that would be good for like couples as
yeah,
well as
you can do
families,
that
just like
anything.
siblings even sometimes, or working partners. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Children. I mean, it could
Yeah.
be anybody you're curious about, your neighbors, your teachers.
Right. Right. Should I move into this neighborhood? What about that neighbor over there?
Right. I mean, you can also, well, yeah, there's the astrocartography element of it where you can like if you were to do a synastry with a country, like you
Right.
can find the
Mhm.
birth chart of a country and like put your birth chart, your natal chart on top of it and
Yes.
see what kind of energies blend and
Yeah.
which
Yeah. Yeah.
are like more conflicting,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you can help decide, like figure out if that's an experience that you want to have. So
Mhm.
as far as location, but
So what does that signify if you're feeling like it's time to move? Because there's so much going on with the US right now. And
right, yeah,
even
it
just that
depends.
identity of America, what America stands for,
There's so
There's
much.
so much
There's
over the last couple of years that's really been shedding and melting away with that, what America really stood for, as opposed to the America that we actually are experiencing. It's
Mhm.
not the America that we
Well,
were
yeah, Pluto's going, I mean, the US is
building
going
up.
through a Pluto return.
Yeah,
So the Pluto return is a big deal. And that only happens like every 248 years. And so,
right. And that started
um,
this year, right? The Pluto return is in this year, right?
well,
That
it's
Pluto
like
return
going
of the
back and
US.
forth because the US Pluto is at 27 degrees Capricorn. So
Okay.
Pluto has already passed over that point and it is
Hmm.
retrograde at the moment and it will be at 29 degrees, but it's still within that 3-degree orb where it's going to be felt. It's going to show up. And this is the
Yeah.
last pass of
Hmm.
Pluto in Capricorn. So this is like
Okay.
really cleaning out those last,
The last lap.
those last toxic bits of
Yeah.
Capricorn, the shadow sides of Capricorn, the
Yeah.
capitalism, the colonialism,
Yeah.
the executive, like the toxic executive power
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
has been overused and
Hmm.
all these hierarchical systems that have not been serving us, but have been pretending to serve us.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, that's like a whole other tangent once
Right, but
again.
it's really it's the cosmic gem of what we're experiencing right now. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
it's a part
there's a
of
lot.
everybody. Yeah, it's a part of everybody's day to day. I mean, I'm not in the U.S., but I'm in the Bahamas, and what's
Mhm.
going on over there impacts us. And the news
Yep.
is, that's the news that we're watching every night. Too. So,
Oh, turn the
and
news off. Turn the news off.
some people are watching every night, not me.
Yeah,
But you
that's
can't be, you can't be with your head in the sand either, too. I think it's
right. Yeah,
important
you
to
want to
know,
be
know what's
aware of
going
it,
on, but don't be
but you
attached to
don't
it.
want to, yeah, be consumed by it.
Yeah,
You want
so
to like look
emotionally
at it
attached.
as a show, a performance. Because right now,
Mhm.
like we've come too far, like after 3 or 4 years, most, I don't know, it's hard to say most of us, but like people in our,
In the groove of it, in the groove of it.
yeah, in
Mhm.
the groove of it. I like that. Like we're able to see it for what it is and not get like pulled into it. But,
Yeah, yeah,
those kind of energies are also what is being called to contribute to the contrast
yeah.
so
I
that
just was gonna say
people,
that.
yeah,
I just
so
gonna
that
say that.
people who are kind of like steeped into that can be triggered and woken up.
Mhm. Yeah. I think it also gives us signs for like, okay, for me, it's like, that's what's happening now. Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like a marker too. It's like, okay, what are they doing? Oh, okay, that's what's going on. And then it also tells me on my end, okay, what do I need to do too? Sometimes too. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay,
Mhm.
if this is going on, then yeah, let me counteract that. Let me maybe do some more videos this week and, put some calm out there because there's so much
Right.
chaos out there, put some
Right. And
quiet,
that's right.
or
That's
lighten the
exactly,
mood. You know what I mean? So
that is
it's
what
all,
we're
again,
doing.
nothing happens in vain. And
Hmm.
really, it all really depends on kind of like where you're at. And it kind of will give you a signal to what you need to do with what is coming in, because not everybody's doing the same thing and not everybody has to do the same thing. And I think that is also part of the beauty of diversity and I want to say differentiation, because
Hmm.
sometimes we feel like everybody has to kind of like be in the same thought, on the same accord, or it's a threat. And some people are in the depth of it. Some people are in the beginning of it. Some people are on the lighter end of it. You know what I mean? Some people will be watching the children. Some people will be guiding the adults. Some
Hmm.
people will be, you know what I mean? There's so many different things that you can do. But I think if once you're doing your authentic, going back to being authentic
Right.
and it really being in your purpose, then you can't really go wrong with it. And I
Right.
think once you are in that alignment with yourself, then as these things, and that's the beauty again of being in alignment with your path and your purpose, because these things are gonna happen. The astrology is
Is
gonna
going to
happen.
astrologize.
Right? The
Transits are going to
astrology,
transit.
yes, and you can't control Pluto. You can't tell Pluto and Mars
Right.
not to conjunct, or
No, but you
way.
know what? We can trust in the choreography of
Yeah,
the dance of the planets because, like, especially right now, everything is being lined up, and the like the choreography, the way these planets are placing themselves amongst each other is so supportive of us just like really trusting our instincts, our
yeah,
intuition,
yeah.
and understanding that we can put more trust into what is happening and
Right.
detach from
Yeah.
any fear that is being like shoved in our faces, like that fear is a
Mhm.
weapon that's been
Yes.
used for so long
Yes.
to
Yeah.
like not trust the universe. Like astrology has been um gate kept and
Yes.
shamed.
It's
Like
almost like I would say it's like Eve when I think about it. Astrology is like
right.
Eve.
Yeah,
You
it's
know
the
what I mean?
connection with nature. And like not everybody wants us to have that connection.
Yeah, like Eve got the sucky story, and so did astrology. You know what I mean? Like, but it was
Hmm.
such powerful energy,
Right.
and really, we can trust it. I love that you said to trust the astrology because
Yes.
again, when we say as above, so below, and I think again we're returning to that point. Even when I was
Yes.
talking about the crystals, returning to the time when we're wearing crystals and have more in-depth knowledge about crystals, and it's a day-to-day thing as opposed to like, oh, what's that? You know what I mean? We have more people wearing and working and using
Connecting
the
to it.
crystal technology and crystal science and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, just coming back into these times, and then even the younger generation, they have their charts on their phone. Like they pulling up their charts, right? And they're reading their natal charts and stuff like that. So again, all of this ancient information, again, returning to these times of the ancients and then returning more to the matriarchal way and just how things went during that time, those times. Is really empowering us, and some of us are really came here to bring these messages forward, but it's also speaking through all of us. Where I was going with all of that is, as above so below, but we tap into the almost like the middle, the outside middle, so much that
Right.
scares us because that's where it's crazy. But we don't, but some of us don't trust the astrology. But when we can just unattach ourselves, to detach detach
Hmm.
ourselves from the outside middle, not ignore it, because you got to know what's going on. You can't have your head in the sand, right? But if you can detach yourself from it and not be so emotionally not have emotional responses to it, and
Hmm.
really trust the cosmology, trust the astrology, then that middle, outside middle, it won't impact you so much. So the more
Right.
we really tap into the astrology and work with it and weave, um, eyes and shed, as I like to say, then that outside crazy doesn't you just know what to do with it.
Say that
You
again. What
know,
was what did you say you like to say?
rise and shed,
Rise
or
and shed. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like rise and shed with everything that's going on. Because we are like in shamanism, we always talk about with the snake. The snake is a big part of shamanism, and what we do as we go through coming into our own, we shed. The snake
Yeah.
sheds its skin. That's part of its process. So
That's
I,
what we're doing right now. That is
mhm,
like the letting go and releasing of,
yeah,
you
because
know, all of the unproductive programming that we've
yeah,
been
yeah,
subject to for like so many generations, like I said.
mhm,
And it's this big release phase before we can really have the space to hold for the new things to come in. And
yes,
like
yeah,
there's so many shifts that are happening like into
yeah,
these new signs.
yeah.
Jupiter's moving in. Well, Jupiter is in Gemini right now, and it'll be in Cancer by this time next year, like actually in the summer of next year. It'll move into a water sign. Neptune is going to move into a fire sign. It's going to move into
Ooh,
Aries, Saturn, and
okay.
Neptune.
That
And
sounds
then,
like a hot period.
yeah, I mean,
Neptune
it's going to
in a fire
be
sign.
a
Mm-mm.
lot of shifts. Pluto's going to be in Aquarius. I mean, it has been in Aquarius, but like after November 19th, it's going to stay in Aquarius for 20 years. And Saturn, yeah, Saturn and Neptune are moving together into Aries simultaneously. But yeah, the thing about Jupiter in
So
Gemini that I wanted to
isn't
mention,
Saturn like restriction?
Saturn.
Uh-huh. Is it like a planet of restriction
Yeah,
considered?
Saturn is restriction,
And
discipline.
Pluto is is Pluto like what's hidden or what's
Pluto is
coming?
like the god of the underworld. It's, the
Right.
energy that uproots the toxicity
Right.
and
So
does
that's
it
what I'm saying.
for
That
transformation. It's like
right.
death
So
and
that
rebirth.
the combination of those in Aries, that's a powerful.
Yeah, that's
Is
a
that
whole nother topic. That is a
okay?
whole nother topic. Like we gotta
No,
try to stay on track here. Oh my God, girl. Girl, you're like pulling me in all different
bring
directions.
it up. My mind is like, you see, there's an
We
astrologer
are
in
like,
there.
okay, we need to get back on track.
But I just
Okay, where
why
was I
don't we talk
going?
about September? Talk
Where
about
was I
September.
going? Like what was the original question that you asked me?
I don't know, but you were about to say something or talk about how Pluto and um, Saturn are going to be in conjunction with Aries. That's what you were talking about. And I was like, oh my God, that just sounds like a
No,
lot.
Neptune and Saturn will be moving into Aries in April 2025. But like that's not what we're covering today. That is a whole nother topic.
All right.
We have been talking about so many different things. We have so many resources. We have the cards, we have crystals, we have the astrology, we have, all kinds of
Tools.
tools that have been um gatekept and like shamed. And
Yeah.
now that we understand that
Abandoned.
those,
Abandoned.
well, I don't know if I don't want to say abandoned. It's been like, for example, like April Fools
Mm-hmm.
was actually the original
New
first
Year's.
of the new year. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
astrological new year. So anybody
Right.
that celebrated it was shamed and like
Same. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
called a fool if they
A
celebrated
fool.
it. So
Yeah.
like, it's a like divination and astrology and everything has been shamed, and people were
Yeah.
protecting themselves so that,
Yeah.
they didn't want to be persecuted. And
Yeah.
So it's been hidden.
And
It's
not just
been
that it's been shamed. I think that's even like the light part of it. People were killed. You know
right,
what I mean? This has been whipped and burnt out of us in some
right.
timeline. You know what I mean? That's
And that's part of the
the
uprooting that is
real of it,
happening.
and that's part of the fear too of a lot of people experience
Right.
in just allowing themselves to tap back into it because and then again part of the
We
shedding
are
is
rising
to
up, like,
focus
and like
on
the
the
more we
surrender.
connect to the planets, like, this and the luminaries, the sun and the moon, then we form a relationship and we can create this
Yeah,
open dialogue, because then we can
yeah.
receive what the planets are telling us.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
that's when our intuition is sharpened and we
Yes.
can go with the flow.
Yeah, yeah,
And as we are all expressing from our heart, and this was like really active during Leo season, actually, when more people are expressing from the heart, there's an energy that is emitted that resonates with the sun. And so
yeah.
the sun has been having, yeah, Miss Leo,
Happy
the sun
lions,
has been
happy
like,
lions.
the sun has been having like super active solar flares,
I know.
which affects us, like, making us
Yeah,
either really wired or tired, like up all night, or just like when we sleep, we are, dead to the world. It's just like we're out.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
also contributes to, and everybody's different, like migraines,
Yeah,
digestive
yeah.
issues.
I have metal in my leg, so I always know when the solar flares are about to pop off. I get like
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
wow, they're coming
You're
in.
like an antenna. Your legs are an antenna.
I am.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They must have been super active in your legs,
Actually,
perhaps.
I've been good for the last couple of days, but like yesterday and today, I started feeling a little bit. So I feel like we'll probably have
Yeah.
some solar. We might have had some solar flares last
Mhm.
night, or we're
Yeah.
gonna have some strong ones this week. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's part of my divination now.
There's a YouTuber, Stefan Burns, who reports on space weather, and he also kind of like weaves in some of the astrology as well.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
So
I got a built-in system.
that's kind of
But I used to be able to tell when it was going to rain because of it. But now it's like my body completely shifted to solar flares. So literally,
mm.
I can like I'll have my leg ache, and then I'll wake up the next morning and there was a 10-point solar flare. I'm like, yeah, I felt it.
Oh my God. What was the other thing I was going to say? Whenever the fear is like setting in, it is important to like have those affirmations
Mhm.
that
Yes,
that it convey trust. Like I am
yeah,
on a path that I can trust,
yes, yes,
or
yes.
like just infusing trust into everything you
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I like to say, people always ask you, how's everything? And my response is all is well. Like that's because
Mhm.
once I say that, even if I'm having a crazy day, that overrides it. All is well.
Nice. Yeah.
All is well because it's on that path of it is either
It is
well
what
or
it is.
it's all right. It is what it is, and I accept it, and it's
Yeah.
well because it's
Right.
it's
It's all
purposeful.
good.
And everything is purposeful, and once it has purpose to it, I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna
Right.
find that purpose and get that goal out of it. So yeah, so
Right. It's a
all is
blessing
well.
or a lesson.
Yes,
Either
yeah,
way, it like
yeah,
it advances us on our path.
yes, and that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So what's going on for September? Should we get into the September cosmology?
Okay, yes, there's so much astrological energies that
Yeah,
are
because
flowing.
we're gonna weave with this, we're gonna shed with it, and that's the whole thing, right? We talked about rising and shedding. So some months, as well as embodiment, that's what I want to say to embodiment. Like
Right, yes.
as we connect ourselves with the sun and the moon, what's the sun doing? What's the moon doing? And with my crystal clarity, I tend to look more at the sun, what season we're in, right? But I also work a lot with the moon, and sometimes my messages will actually come out with the different moons, right? Even though it's about the sun, right? Or with the months that we're in. But a lot of it, I realized doing it is, it's like, okay, like how you said, during August, we were focused on the heart. That was a lot of heart energy because that is the Leo
Yeah.
energy, the heart, right? So as and when I was in for the crystals, the energy was forgiveness, right? For August. So it was
Mhm.
like, that was like a heart shedding of the heart, releasing any resentment, jealousy, anger, whatever you needed to do to get into a state of forgiveness and wholeness, self-forgiveness as well, or forgiveness for other people. So like as we go through these months and you're looking through the astrology of it, but really it's a part of your body that again we're activating. And like this month we're going through with the amethyst and it's meditation and and newts and all of that is the mind, you know. So we're tapping into, again, what are we thinking? What are we meditating on? Are we in a meditative space? Are we in a peaceful space? Are we in, you know, so all of that, you know, like again, the astrology is you. So the more you understand the astrology that you're actually experiencing it, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, the more really control, or I don't even want to say control because you can't control the astrology, but again, you can weave and work with that astrology and rise with that astrology. Or if the astrology is actually saying, hey, this is a perfect time to shed and release something, then sometimes really we don't do it. Even though we know we should do it, but when that astrology comes in, it's like,
Hmm.
you know what? It's done. It's
Yeah.
easier for us to actually get into those modes because that, again, the universe, one, we trust it, but it's we trust it because it's so supportive. The more and more we work with it, we realize that this energy is energy moving through you. So if there's something that you were supposed to give up and then you couldn't give it up, I guess, you know, by the time September rolls around, you probably will be more committed to giving it up because the astrology around you is really saying, get your mind in
Confirming it.
order.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you can actually activate this action throughout your body or throughout your life. So again,
Right.
it's nothing outside of you, you know. So, you know, different months we have different energies and themes, but it's all about the body and it's all about you and you rising and shedding
Right.
and coming into fullness really again and again and again and
It's
again
like
because that's
ebbs
the
and
thing
flows,
too.
and like we release and we receive and we relax and we push,
Yeah.
you know, like there's
Yes.
all these like peaks and valleys, and when we
Yes. Yes.
understand the corresponding astrological energies, then we can work with
Yeah.
it instead of fighting
Yeah.
against it. Because when we're fighting against it, it's usually because we've been programmed to like stay on some certain course. And
Yes.
if we don't stay on this certain, you know, like pattern, then there's this fear of
Mhm.
being judged, you know. But
Yeah.
like, you know, the
Well, even
astrology is
fear of
telling
loss.
us, the
Fear of
astrology is
loss
telling
too.
us like up and down to release those cares of being
Yeah.
judged, like just be authentic, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's always reminding us to release the fears of being judged and to release the fears of lack. And they're so like stuck in our brain, you know, that I will lose and I will be laughed at or judged or something like that. That is the, you know, like that is the default. And you really
Right, that
have
is
to,
the that's,
you
you
got
know,
to
sadly the
reprogram yourself.
program that we have been subject to.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you don't fit
As
into
well
this
as
box, then you're not going to be accepted by X, Y, and Z, and society is going to shame you.
yeah, and it's constantly fed at you through different, depending on what you're consuming. I mean,
Right.
most of the commercials are telling you if you don't have this, then you're not that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Like
It's
it start, I
all
mean, like I don't know
packaged
if it started
into
with magazines, like fashion magazines
right, right,
and
right.
the
It's
advertising.
constantly fed to you. It's constantly even just
Yeah.
the certain lifestyle or the certain equation to success. It's
Hmm.
constantly fed at you from different angles. I mean,
It's like this tunnel vision,
right.
you
But I
know.
also think it's what we're talking about. There's the whole campaign towards stay
Right.
on that track because you'll make it at some point. No, don't get off. You'll
That's
be
called the rat wheel.
if you get off this wheel, you're gonna be
Yeah.
lost and beat up and your life is gonna be ruined. You know what I mean? So there's so much keeping people on that wheel, you know. But
But yeah,
again,
that's the thing with the astrology for like these current times with the Uranus, which is the planet of, it's the god of skies. It like it's the disruptor. It shakes
mhm,
things out of stagnation and
right.
it's sudden,
And
unexpected
Uranus
events.
has a
And it's in a
relationship.
trine to Pluto and Capricorn, which is like the systems, like the Earth. They're both Earth. And then Neptune in Pisces, along with Saturn, is that trust and like unconditional acceptance. And so it's pulling us out of that rat wheel. Like
Yeah.
I kind of see, you know, Virgo can be that orderly system where, you
I
know,
was
they're
gonna
so
ask,
focused on these like methodical steps that they get lost in the meaning of life. So those three planets, Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune, and Saturn, is kind of pulling us out of that rat wheel and like
mhm.
allowing us to see what,
I was
like allowing us to spiritually elevate.
I was gonna ask you, what is the relationship between Uranus and Virgo? How would they impact each other?
Well, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and
Right.
Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury.
Ah,
And so they are both
okay.
connected, you know, to communication and exchange energy, like yeah, energy
Okay.
exchange. Mercury is more of like a on a earthly, like I guess, you know, mundane level, and then Uranus
Got it.
is, you know,
That
connected to the
the
sky. Like
higher realm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so
yeah.
would Uranus be kind of like the radio station of the higher energies, like or the communicator of?
Yeah,
The
I mean, I
whole
kind of see
energy.
even the glyph of Uranus as a satellite.
Got it.
Like Uranus,
Got
the
it.
glyph is like, those two little bars, and like there's one
Mhm.
in the middle, and then there's like
Got
some
it.
sort
Got
of
it.
ball or circular disc that points up to the sky.
Right.
And then
Right.
Mercury also is, it's like the Venus glyph with a cross at the
Right.
bottom with the two antennas.
With, yeah, like with segment, like with the
Yeah,
horns.
right,
Yeah,
the
with
horns.
the
Yeah.
Hathor, almost the Hathor. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Interesting.
So they're
Yeah.
both like pointing up to the sky. So they're receiving and sending messages,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
Uranus is like a little more out there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So getting that more out there messages as opposed to the earthly messages.
Right. Yeah. And with
Okay.
Uranus, it's sudden insight. It's like moments of genius, And
Yeah,
then with
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Pluto,
yeah, yeah.
Pluto's the planet of transformation. It is like it's it's totally flipping everything on its head. Like things are
Yeah,
so
yeah,
what
yeah.
we're doing is reversing the reversed. We've been in this like
Mhm.
era of,
Yeah.
this
We've been moving backwards.
we have been flipped. Yeah, we have been told to move
To
backwards.
go
Yeah.
backwards. Yeah. So now when the return that everybody's talking about is really the return of moving forward as opposed to
Yeah.
moving backward.
Reclaiming. Yeah, there's a lot of reclaiming. Like it's like the great reclaiming, great reclamation,
Yeah.
reckoning,
Yeah.
awakening. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all of
reset,
those
whatever we're
things.
calling it. Yeah, but we're moving. But it feels like that. I mean, for a
Yeah.
lot of us, it feels like, okay, we're moving in the direction that we're supposed to be moving. Even as all of this stuff goes on, it really feels like and you can feel it in terms of just the communities, if you're connected to certain communities or just or in your own community, because I'm not really when I say connected, if you
Mhm.
can just peek into different communities, you feel it. You feel that regardless of what's going on and what's
Yeah.
being pushed in front of your face, as well as when you're talking to people,
Yeah.
not the
Even when you're just going to
edited.
the grocery store, you
That's
can,
what I'm saying. It's not the edited, commercialized package message. In the hey, I'm walking and I just talk to a stranger or I catch up with a friend and people are moving in the right direction. Really, this stuff is going on,
they're
and
waking
some
up. Yeah.
yeah. And then for me, that's moving in the right
Progress.
direction. Not
Yeah.
even like you don't have to wake up where I'm there or, if you're waking up where you need to wake up, hey, that's moving in the right direction because we're not all going to wake up at the same time and have the
We weren't
same
all
goal.
born at the same time, so we're not going to wake
Right.
up at the same
But if
time.
in your own universe, you're like, you know what? I just need to stop doing this in order to move myself forward. That's a wake up.
Yeah.
That's
And
a
it's going to
huge wake
be
up.
at the same time, it's going to be a grieving of like what we previously believed,
Oh,
you know.
yeah. I mean,
So with
even like, go
29
ahead.
degree, yeah, Neptune at 29 degrees in Pisces. So it's at the very last, actually, I think it's retrograde, so it's at 28 degrees, but it's at in the last degrees of the last sign of the zodiac.
Oh,
So
when is that? When is this?
I mean, that's right now, like
Oh,
Neptune.
that's what we're experiencing. Like,
Yeah, we are
that's
letting
life
go
now.
of these
We're in the
old
29 degrees of Uranus.
beliefs.
We're in 29 degrees of what?
So we're in 29 degrees of Neptune in Pisces,
Neptune and
Pluto in
Pisces.
Capricorn, and
Ooh,
Uranus in Taurus.
oh my goodness, all of those. So like the
Yeah.
last degree of all of, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah, all of these planets are about to shift into new signs, new
You're
elements.
right.
That's why we are letting go of like we're grieving. We're letting go and grieving the last of all of what we believed in before, like whether it's paradigms,
Mhm.
systems, people,
That's
relationships.
also perfect with the energy of Newt, with also looking at it from that way, being in September, being the beginning and the end. So
Of
it's like
newts.
we're ending a lot of stuff, this
Yeah.
month, and as September rolls out, we're ending a lot of stuff, and it feels like a lot of stuff is ending, and then
Yes.
as September ends, we come into this new beginning on the 23rd of the month, first on certain calendars. So it's like September ushers in this, okay, we're wrapping it up at 29 degrees energy,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then we're going to let some new stuff come on in. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to release and let dissolve all these
Yeah.
relationships and even if it's relationships with some, family members, like I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the hardest thing right now because Mars is also in Cancer and the
Mm-hmm.
Cancer is connected to the family and our ancestry. And so with Mars is a severing energy. It's like aggression and defending. It can also be like defending one's family or
Mm-hmm.
defending your security, sense of
Right.
security.
Right.
And so there's going to be, and Mars is going to square the North and South node. So the North Node is our destiny point, the direction that we want to move into,
Right.
which is in Aries right now. Mars also rules Aries. Mars is a planet of Aries. And so Mars in Cancer is going to be squaring the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra. And the South Node is the energy of what we're releasing, dissolving, letting go of, moving away from. And in sign of Libra, it's it can be a lot of things. Libra is, people pleasing. It's like there's a lot of sacrifice for the sake of relationships. It's also, balance and justice as well. But there can be like, those all signs have a shadow and light side to each of them. So the South Node are like the shadow sides of that side of the sign that we want to let go of. And then the
Right.
North Node in Aries is independence, um, it can be impulsivity, but it's entrepreneurship, like, really just going for it, being the
Right.
first, like also healthy competition. We're not trying to knock anybody out with our elbows.
Right.
It's almost like survival mode, but like a survival for our inner child. Like we're protecting our inner child and like, taking our inner child with
Now,
us.
is it so as you're talking about all of this, I'm wondering like, is that kind of like in a way, like we were discussing like the new moon and how the new moon had just passed and the whole regenerational healing generational patterns, all of that kind of like came up with that new moon, you know? And
Right.
like well that's all of that what you just talked about is about healing our generational patterns, you know? Again, the home and tied into the home, you know, and all of that, like how we actually structure our lives, how we move through these, you know, decisions and then that really impact us in a very like the home is not a small thing. The home is a big part of your life. You know what I mean? So all of
Right.
that restructuring that we're really again organizing and preparing, seeing okay, what needs to
Right.
go, what needs to stay, what needs to like I don't do I use this anymore? Again, in terms of relationships and
Mm-hmm.
family relationships, again, you know, the home is such a structuring word. It's just it's a rooted and in a structuring thing in our lives, you know. It's
That's
like you
where we do
never
our most learning.
yeah, and it's like it impacts us. So, you know, they say home is where the heart is, you know, it impacts you so much. Even um like just relating to what you're talking about, like I'm going through restructuring my room in my
Mm-hmm.
dad's home and then
Mm-hmm.
moving between homes because
Yeah.
I'm always between two homes and I'm like I'm coming back to this home and restructuring this home and even this project here. I've been working on this recreating my room all year, but it really wasn't until now that I'm in it and I'm almost done with it. But this month is like the month I'll actually get it. Between this month and next month. Yeah, I think by the end of October, everything that I want redone in it will be
Yeah.
redone. You know what I mean? So again, it's like there's so much restructuring and reordering and
And it's so in
almost
line
like
with like Pluto going back into Capricorn too, because
mhm,
you're
like
transforming
getting
that
our
room.
homes in order, getting our
Yeah.
families in order. And when I say in order, is like, okay, this is how I want to experience it now. Because we
Yeah.
go through so many changes. And I think sometimes we don't allow those, sometimes those changes are ideas. And then it's like, okay, now let me root myself and stand on this new idea and this new structure. And then I think, and really that's what the home is, right? Because the home is where we dwell, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the home is these walls and structures around us. Again, even the home is like our body, but you know, so the family and our physical home, you know, it has so much to do with the structure of our lives and the structure of our stories, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's very interesting, and we're deep in that now. Like you know, we are doing that. I'm sure there in everybody's story, there's something going on at home
A lot of
that is
purging.
or within the family that is now taking priority to get it in order or to reorganize it. Yeah, so
Right.
that's
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
funny that you say that, like reorganizing, because the new moon that we
Mm-hmm.
had on the 2nd of
Yeah.
September was in Virgo. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like that energy of like cleaning up the space,
Yes.
sure everything
Yes.
is tidied up so
Mm-hmm.
that you can
Mm-hmm.
prepare. Like for you, that room, you
Yeah.
said you're going to be using it to like offer your
Everything.
services for your
Yeah.
aromatherapy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just my like I literally have been calling my room the Amethyst Cave for the past 4 years. And
Hmm.
I didn't plan it. Like I didn't actually say, oh, I'm gonna recolor my room and everything. And then, but like as I started painting the walls and I looked at it, I was like, This
It's
is the
happening.
amethyst cave that I've been talking about for the past 4 years. So again, that's what's like at some point we actually let these ideas or what we've been thinking and doing really just manifest and take its physical structure. Like this is my first time recording in this room for I don't think I've recorded in this room in about a year and a half. I was doing all of my recordings outside of this room. So it's nice to come back in and it's more of what I wanted my room to be, and how I envisioned it.
It's
As
perfect, which is
yeah, and
Virgo energy.
I was and Virgo is my north node, by the way.
Yeah,
But
now
most
that space is
but
devoted to healing, which is
yes,
like, again,
and art and
like it's
crystals.
on that Virgo Pisces axis of being
Yes,
here,
yes.
which is definitely all in line. And so like the Virgo,
Yeah, so
Virgo,
My Pisces blue and my Virgo purple. That's my Pisces
your
Virgo.
north and south node.
That's my north and south.
So do we want to go into the
Yeah, what's happening on
lunation,
what is it? The ninth, right? Is the full not the full moon. The
the
first
quarter
quarter
moon?
moon is 9/9. And then we also have the
The
nine
first
nine
quarter, the first quarter moon is the 10th.
the 10th, right? So today we're taping on the 7th. And then the next beautiful thing that happens. So this is like a positive manifestation day for us because we
Mhm.
reached a goal on our
Yeah,
timeline.
yeah.
I think I put my glasses on now. And then we have 9/9, which is a really potent day. And I realized last week that is actually also going to be a galactic portal day. So let me just pull out my galactic
Mhm.
calendar. And that's the beautiful thing about astrology too. There's so much astrology. Like you can tap into so many different calendars. And again, weave and merge and work with it. So I think I looked at the Mayan galactic calendar. This is one of the
Oh,
other
did you get it?
calendars.
Did they?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
this is the
finally got
new
it right. I was
one.
thinking about getting
Interesting.
that too.
Yeah, this is the new one. This is the new one. It was
And it
actually
starts on
there.
what date? Like
It
July
starts on July 26th. Mm.
26th.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's the first day of the calendar is July 26th, but it's the 19th date. But yeah, yeah.
The 19th
So
day.
yeah, it's not the first. Well, that's interesting. The 19th. Remember we were talking about that?
Well, the
The
degree that
19th?
the quarter moon will be at is at 19
Yeah,
degrees.
it started at, I don't know if you can see it, but it was like kin 19. That 19 keeps showing up. So even
Mm.
though it started on the first day of this calendar, but the kin was 19. Yeah, so it's interesting. But so this 9/9 is coming up. That's a portal day, right? September 9th, and it's 998. Those are beautiful numbers. And on the galactic calendar, September 9th is a yellow crystal seed, right?
Mm.
So
So what does
again,
that mean? What
crystal.
does that mean
So
for
like well, yellow is always good. It's like ripening, right? Yellow is ripening. Crystal is well, crystal, like crystal mindset is also like the crystal is like the 12th tone, right? So again, communication, resonance, everything that you could think of as that crystal is. And then a
And
seed.
Mercury is going to re-enter Virgo on the 9th. I
Mhm.
think it's the 9th or
And
the
the
8th.
seed itself is again the day, just so we were talking about the seed. I remember what I always think about too is the seed holds so much potential. So if you just look at those three, with the yellow is the ripening, the crystal tone, communication, clairvoyance, clarity, um, resonance, was clearing, just all of that crystal energy, and then the seed. So very powerful day, and it's the galactic, and it's guided by. That day is guided by intelligence. So again, the intelligence to me too is like I remember reading this book years ago. The lady who sometimes she runs for president, what's her name? It's a
Something.
woman, but she's
Marianne,
in
Marianne
yeah,
Williamson?
yeah, she one of her
I like
books
her.
I read, and I think it was her book or maybe another book, I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, I read her book. I think it was her book or another book I was reading either right before or after it. Anyway, they were saying like the intelligence of the world is just it, the word it. You know what I mean? So again, when I think of intelligence, or when you think of like when you look at the FBI, the CIA, it's all about intelligence, right? And
Mhm.
even now we have these smartphones, smart, everything is smart. And that's why I'm hashtagging now smart bodies. Like don't let your whole everything be smart, but your mind be dumb and your body be sick.
Mhm.
So have a smart body, right? Activate your smart body. But it's about our intelligence, right? So again, the intelligence could also be looked at as the celestials. You know what I mean? The
Yes.
planets and all of that. That is intelligence.
Yeah. Hmm.
We are intelligence. So again, upgrading ourselves, rising in who we are and who we are meant to be in the fullness of ourselves, tapping
Yes.
into the intelligence of the universe, tapping into the intelligence of
The
our own body.
collective intelligence.
Yes, yes, right. So it's so 99 is yellow crystal sea day. It is guided by intelligence. And look at the number in 64. We know 64 is a powerful number as well, you know. So just looking at that energy too that day. And then we go
Mhm.
right into the first quarter moon. So again, what actions? Like if we everybody has a goal, whether it is like my big goal this year is really, I mean, I'm one is I reach one and I'm gonna do it. But again, if I'm looking at what I want to see so that I can manifest later in the year is all about travel. It is all about travel. So I might even say, like, what can I do this week that really gets me on the plan that I already have to make sure that I start traveling on a certain date, you know, or I'm activating actually a travel budget for myself, right?
This is
So
perfect
what
for you then.
yeah, so what can I do? And I'll really think about that this week. Like, what can I do to make sure that I'm on that track to just put one more thing, do one more thing towards starting this travel budget plan for myself, whatever that is. And the bigger aspect of that is just really being smarter about my money and my and managing my money and creating or savings for the things I really want to experience that I haven't been experiencing yet, you know? And travel is big on my list because
You're in ninth house North Node.
look, she doesn't know me for that long, but she knows me. Like every sometimes we're talking and I'm like, and she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense because you're I'm like, you're so up in my business. Like you know me
Well,
more
you
than
gave me your birth chart.
but
Well,
I gave her
I'm a
my
ninth
chart.
house North Node as well. So we have that kind of like, we have a lot of, synchronistic placements in our
Yeah,
charts. And so that's
yeah,
how
yeah.
it's easier for me to know your chart because it lines up with my chart. And so like, yeah, this crisis in action is the first quarter moon. So it's like
Mm,
when the moon is 3 degrees, 3 signs from the sun. So we have the sun in Virgo,
mm-hmm,
which is a mutable earth sign. And then the moon on September 10th will be in a mutable fire sign, which is Sagittarius. And
mm.
Sagittarius is all about
Travel,
travel.
travel. Yeah,
Yeah. Expanding your horizons.
yeah.
And
So I mean, I really need to do an action step towards that.
right.
Yeah. See,
And
again, I come up with these crazy ideas, and then astrology is like, that's
it
why
validates it.
it validates
And
it.
how funny is it? Okay, so the new moon, I mean, the quarter moon technically is at 11:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's September 11th, I think, on your in your part of the world.
Okay, yeah, 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 9/11, right.
And then September 11th, like we were talking about this, offline, but there's a trip to Egypt,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Where the down payment is due on the 11th. So I was
Ah,
thinking of this. And so that's like one of the concrete
oh,
steps
I
that you can
didn't you didn't say
do.
that. Oh, so that you're gonna do it?
I mean, that's what's
Do
coming
it,
up.
do it,
It's like
do
this.
it.
The moon is how you feel. You want to travel. The moon in
Yeah,
Sagittarius, you want to travel.
yeah,
You want to do all these things. It's ruled by Jupiter. You want to
yeah,
expand, and you're optimistic about like all these plans to travel. But then
yes.
the sun in Virgo is like, okay, what's our budget though? Like, can we actually afford this? How much did we spend last month? I mean, how far is this trip out?
How are we gonna manifest this is what the Virgo mind is
Well,
saying.
yeah,
Can you do this?
the Virgo sun wants the details. It's ruled by
Yes,
Mercury.
yes, that's it. That's it. It's
It's ruled
Virgo
by
mind is
Mercury,
like,
but we'll also see Mercury will move into the sign of Virgo on the 8th. So we'll
mhm.
have that support to be able
Tomorrow,
to process
the
the
big dream, the big
details.
dream.
We'll
Mhm,
be able to process the details with a lot more accuracy because the ruler of Virgo, Mercury, will be in its own sign during the
mhm.
quarter moon.
Again, like even we could all think about like what
Opportunities for
travel,
action.
yeah, what travel opportunities are do we want? And
Yeah.
just how can we, in terms of action steps, and you said Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is also about philosophy, right? Because that was also a big part of the crystal energy this month too, is the dragon of philosophy. So again, in terms of, I'm just putting that the philosophy and the travel, like even movement of our philosophies, you know,
Right.
movement of how
Sagittarius
we
is the truth seeker, the adventurer,
right. So,
freedom
you
loving.
know, just what maybe there's an adventure or a truth that we want to discover or a trip that you want to, you know, that you've always wanted to participate in that brings more truth into your life, you know, or brings more realness into your life, or just you're passionate about it. And maybe, and then again, I don't know, my mind is just saying like dream the impossible dream. Like
Right?
what
That's
can
totally
you
Sagittarius. Optimism,
what can
like,
we, like what can we seed on the 9th and the 10th and the 11th? Because again, working with the energies, it's a potency of it, but we can always do it, And it's like when we work with it, we say we show potentiality, right? But we have to go and put ourselves into it. But what can we write, seed, do action,
yeah,
what
action. This is a
action
fire
step,
sign, quarter
right?
moon.
So, or even change with that catalyst, what can we, what action do we actually need to do to seed that dream the impossible dream? For me, dreaming the impossible dream is really traveling around this whole
Yep.
entire continent and universe.
Yeah,
Universe.
this is a good one, especially for you because you're, north no, I mean both of us, our north nodes are in the ninth house, which is naturally ruled by Sagittarius.
Yeah, and
So,
really activating that
all
time.
right.
I say it, activating that travel timeline for myself, which is a huge goal for me. Huge goal for me. Yeah, I haven't included the what was seeded in my dream, so now I need to seed that with a plan.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
all. That's
another
what I'm gonna do.
nuance, another nuance of this is the degree theory that I like to incorporate,
Okay.
which this is a 19-degree quarter moon, and 19
Mhm.
is connected to Libra.
Okay.
So, like, degree theory is going around the zodiac, like starting with Aries being one, and then you go around. So, 12 would be Pisces, which is, and then if
Mhm.
you go around again, 13 would be Aries, 14 would be Taurus, 15 is Gemini, and so on. And
Gemini.
then you keep on going to 19, and then you reach Libra again.
Hmm.
And Libra is connected to relationships. And so there is in balance, harmony. There is a connection to focusing on relationships with this quarter moon. So maybe there's
Some
an
action steps.
opportunity in relationships where we are either feeling like we want to connect or disconnect. Like, is there a
Yeah.
relationship that is holding us back from pursuing this dream, or is there a
Yeah.
relationship that we can pursue to help us fulfill this dream?
Right,
Yeah,
right, right,
either
right.
way.
Well, actually, that's interesting. I listened to one of the oracle readers that I listened to a lot. Um, mentioned that when I start to travel, that I will have a new relationship. So just
Ah,
connecting, and that was for all Leos, not just for me. Okay,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, we're basically talking about how for Leos, when we actually, and it's interesting that all this is coming in with the whole action step and the Sagittarius, but and the whole movement, right? Because that even had tied into movement. But it's that yeah, when we start to move,
Right.
then that new partner or that new alignment will actually come closer to us. Yeah. So that's a synchronicity with that message too again.
Yeah, and the whole thing with quarter moons, especially the opening quarter moon, is releasing old beliefs, clearing emotional baggage, pushing through
Mhm.
like past experiences, like not holding on to um like negative past experiences that could
Yeah.
influence your decision,
Yeah.
and like seizing the opportunities to take action.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much like so much has changed. People have changed,
Yeah, I
we have
do.
changed. We
And
can't
sometimes
hold on to the past and
yeah.
make those decisions based on the past.
Yeah, and I think sometimes too, when you're in a relationship for a long time, you kind of like you're not sure if you need a new person or if you need a new mindset. Like if you need to
Yeah, no, usually it's
give
the
it
mindset
you know
because
what
you
I
need to
mean?
like give
Like
yourself some time to breathe.
yeah, like you need something that again, that newness is like, well, do I want to just swap this person for the new experience, or do you need the new experience in it, or you need a new person, or you need a
Mm,
revitalization, or you need a new mindset with it to actually revitalize the relationship. You know what I mean? There's so many aspects, but when you're in a relationship for a long time with the same person, you do kind of like have to figure out, well, how do I even make this new? Even if it's with the same person, and that's a real challenge with long relationships.
mm. Yeah, you
Yeah.
would know better. It's been so long. Oh my gosh.
We learn this in shamanism. It's like, where are you even looking at your own life? Are you looking at it from the base level, the snake level, or are you looking at it from the eagle's level? And it really could be like where the different parts of depending on the journey or where you're at on your wheel, you might give it that, hey, I need to shed this, which is the
Yeah.
snake energy, which is I need to release this or release something or let something die. You know, that's the South and the West. And then the East and the or the North and the East is about what's coming to you and what you're manifesting. You know what I mean? So,
Mm,
and again, the eagle would be in the east. And again, that is all about what perspective and vision and mindset am I at? Am I even looking at this at? You know, so again,
mm.
and in relationships too, I think there's even some moments where something might happen and you're like, I gotta get out. And then sometimes you're like, you know what? Let me widen my perspective of this and look at it from not just my perspective, but also their perspective, not just today's perspective, but the full story. You know what I mean? And sometimes you do have to kind of like give it that eagle's view. And sometimes that eagle's view would tell
Right.
you to stay. And sometimes that eagle's view would say, it's time to go. You know, there
Right.
is no right or wrong. It's really just knowing what you want out of it and making sure that you're not acting in fear. And that I, how for me, it's like I'm always moving forward, no matter what relationship I'm in, that I just try to always move forward. And I think the older we get as women, and this whole experience we're having as women in
Mhm.
relationships, even with just
Or
anybody.
not
I
in
mean,
relationships.
you're right. Okay, again, because it's a
Being,
relationship that you're having
mm,
with yourself, really,
yeah.
that kind of like dictates these relationships that you're having outside of you. You know, even sometimes as the astrology comes in, like me and one of my friends, we're always like, oh my God, all of the past is, you know, like we're running into so many people from the past or past relationships or something like that, you
Yeah,
know.
that was Mercury retrograde.
Right. And sometimes it's really this season of, you know, or people will start calling you know, and be like, "Hmm." Sometimes it's really just to say no or no, thank you.
Yeah, it's like
Or
a
no, that,
test.
yeah, I'm not that same person anymore and I don't want to, or, you know, or I do, or whatever it is, but it allows you to just see where you are now too. So,
Yeah,
but
I like what you
it's
said.
definitely that kind of like that relationship that you really are having with yourself. And that kind of leads over to the relationship you're having with other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like what you said about like having that eagle's view, like that, like
Mhm,
zooming out.
mhm,
Because again, this is a quarter moon ruled by Jupiter, which is expansion. You know, it is the
mhm.
big picture understanding of the opportunities that are at hand. You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
instead of like being kind of like focus on details and ruminating, which
yeah.
Virgo, being like Mercury ruled, has that tendency to do. There's a deeper meaning to really seeing the opportunities in front of you and not being like too nitpicky about like,
Yeah.
gosh, like, is it going to fit into my budget, or like, am I
Mhm.
gonna, like whatever the worries are,
Yeah,
like,
because sometimes you could nitpick the vision away, and it
right.
just like you'll
That's like
just
the what is it? Analysis by paralysis
mhm.
or paralysis by analysis.
And you will completely convince yourself not to do it. Yeah, nitpicking has been a big thing for me. And you know, it's like sometimes you realize like what if I stopped doing this, it would help me so much. That was the thing I realized I needed to stop doing. And that was just like within the last month. So I was discussing this every year. I get a soul retrieval every year, and I was
Hmm.
discussing this with the person who I got my soul retrieval with, and I said, you know, I realized I need to not nitpick, and she said, well, eagle it, and I said, oh, I love that. Or was that you when I was talking? You said eagle it.
I don't
Anyway,
recall.
so now every time I catch myself nitpicking, I'm like, eagle it, like don't stay so small, give it the bigger view, eagle it.
Nice. Yeah,
And
that's so perfect.
yeah, so and I'm retraining my brain now every time I catch myself nitpicking over something to just give it that eagle it out, give it
Yeah,
that bigger
that's
view.
exactly what you want to do
And
because
that's what I've been
Mercury
doing. Yeah, I gotta catch
can
and I get
be
go
kind
on.
of like nitpicky, like overly focused on details. And the way to, like, one of the ways to remedy that is to do the opposite, which astrologically, the opposite is opposite of Virgo is
Hiking.
Pisces, and it's traditionally ruled by Jupiter, which is, expansion,
Quarantine.
like zooming
Yeah,
out.
yeah. So the Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was doing synchronicities. The synchronicities always happen. So I was taping the other day and like the word Zoom was trending. And I was like, why is this a trending word for me? Zoom? I actually said on the video, I said, I gotta look up the numerology for this. And the numerology is so powerful. It's 774. And I was like, ah, that makes so much sense. Because
Seven
again,
seven. So what is the numerology of 774?
well, just again, philosophy and the standing point, and you like your foundation, like 7-7, the mystical, the philosopher, you know, all
Mm-hmm.
of that, and then just the four, you know, the foundation. So again, it's like that zoom out again, zoom out to your How would I
Like your perch?
zoom out to your bigger story. You zoom out to your bigger platform. Zoom again, giving it just tying in the zooming and the nitpicking, the eagling and the seven and the four. Because also seven is more about integration. Let's start with that. And let's look at Zoom. What have we been doing with Zoom? It's
Mm-hmm.
where people are meeting and integrating and ideas and all of that. And a big part of reprogramming ourselves is, as you were mentioning, the shadows. And that's a beautiful part about astrology too, is like you look at your beauty, but there's also shadow work. And there's parts of the Leo astrology and the Virgo astrology and the Pisces astrology and all of that we have to work to conquer within ourselves, to overcome within ourselves.
Yeah,
But
can
it's
we,
all
do you, do you mind if we take just a small
right.
corner, like look at the corner of that Virgo, excuse me, a Virgo area of your chart? Because like
Oh,
not everybody
just
with,
put it out there, girl. Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
not everybody with a Virgo North Node is like so nitpicky or whatever, but
Okay.
you have placements that support this North
Nitpicking.
Node in Virgo, which is Saturn as well as Black Moon Lilith in Virgo.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Your North Node is in between the two. So the Black Moon Lilith is the dark side of the moon, the shadow side of the moons, and so
Mm-hmm.
every sign has a light and shadow side, and so nitpicking, like being overly picky, is that shadow side of Virgo, and then
Mm-hmm.
having the Black Moon there is you're aware of it, and it's something that you're working on, and it can be
Yeah.
something that you are aware of that can turn people off.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
that is very um like you're more enlightened to have that awareness and
Yeah.
doing something about it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And
Yeah.
then
And I
like with
saw.
this,
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say with Saturn in Virgo also, and it also being Virgo season and the sun has been passing over your Saturn, it highlights that discipline of those Virgo traits of,
Mm-hmm.
um, reining it back. Like it's like that balance of being able to pick your battles, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I
So,
never put together nitpicking and picking your battles. Because really, in that moment of eagling it out, it's really like pick your battle, girl. Like, are you? Isn't today a beautiful day? Aren't you? Like, aren't you
mm,
in alignment? Aren't you getting things done? Aren't you? So why are we doing that? It's really,
mhm.
And again, it's me. It's me. But hey, we're here to know ourselves, right?
Learn,
And
yeah.
they say, know thyself, heal thyself, right?
It's
So
like a
when you know,
self-discovery.
yeah, when you know what is hurting you and creating disharmony amongst your relationships, and you're
Hmm.
working on that, you're on the right track. I mean,
Yep.
self-awareness is so powerful. That's why I love awareness,
Right.
attunement, authenticity. Those are my things.
Hmm. And it's
Those are my
it's
things.
in alignment with this quarter moon because the same day, like in the same signature snapshot of this quarter moon, Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius and Pisces, is in Gemini, which is opposite. So the moon will be opposing Jupiter and Gemini, and Jupiter and Gemini wants us to be able to like know things and like not judge it. So we want to understand others' opinions without having to take a side.
Yeah, yeah,
So we
yeah.
don't we don't
Again, that
have to.
observation coming in. Just observe it.
Right. We don't have to have like an opinion about the information that we are taking in, the
Yeah,
observations.
yeah.
And Jupiter and Gemini is also, so if it's opposing the moon and we're in a quarter moon phase, then Jupiter is also squaring the sun. And so this Jupiter moon opposition is making a T square to the sun in Virgo. And so that can have us like Gemini is also a mutable sign
Yeah,
and
it's
it's also,
Mercury, right?
and it's ruled by Mercury. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's going to have us also like looking at options, like very
In our
be
heads,
like
just
a
thinking
very
like,
mental, yeah,
yeah,
like looking at all the directions that we
we will
can
all be
go
like,
in.
what am I about to do about this?
Right, yeah, I mean we've
It'll
we've
be
got
peaceful
to,
statue, and the guy is just thinking, what is that stat? Like, that's what I'm seeing. Like, everybody's just deep
yeah, like that David
contemplation.
statue. Is it
Yeah,
statue of, is
everybody
it
just in
David?
deep contemplation, thinking, listen, I got
Right,
options here. What am I gonna do? Yeah, and yeah, but don't get too stuck in your head, right? Do something. And I think that could be the
right.
little cautionary. We might actually get stuck in our heads and not use it
Well, that's where the Saturn and
to
Pisces comes
actually.
in.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's also
Okay.
is
So to make that action.
there's a mutable there's a mutable grand cross happening with this quarter moon.
Is this still, we're still in the first moon? We're still in the
That's like
first quarter
quarter moon.
moon
Yeah, this is like,
energy.
all
All this.
the
This is
nine, the
all next
10th.
week. And
I mean,
then
there's going to be a lot of contemplation
mhm,
happening. There's a lot of mental focus on the options that are in front of us. But then Saturn in Pisces is retrograde. So Saturn's going to be at 15 degrees
right.
Pisces. And it's going to be, the sun is going to be at 19 Virgo. So it's still within, like, the range of that feeling of doubt and feeling restricted or being, pulled back because of Saturn and Pisces wants us to make sure that it's in spiritual alignment. Like, are we
Right.
also um kind of like beating ourselves up over this, like wearing ourselves down with this over processing, overthinking of all these options?
But that's what I'm
So
saying. I think that like in order to get out of that, we got to do something
we've
because
got to
that's
have a
usually
balance of, like resting. Saturn and Pisces wants to make sure that we're like also taking time to pay attention to our energy levels.
right, right.
You know?
But
And
I just want to, I don't want us to get lost in the thinking aspect because
right, yeah,
we were going to be using the first quarter moon to do something. That's my
right,
point here. Like don't, because astrology too, you got to know the astrology to also realize, okay, I might be stuck in my head, so I need to do something because of the planets might make me stick in my head,
right,
but the moon is saying do some action. So that's, I mean, that's the beauty of understanding astrology.
right.
You're not always supposed to just succumb to the astrology. You know what I mean? It all depends on like the
Yeah,
moon
you got
as
to
well
take it
as
all in. You got to take it
right,
all in from
as
different
well as
directions.
put it in the grand wheel of what are you trying to do with your life? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the
That's
astrology
why
is
we have like
saying
the four elements and like we want to balance all of them out. Like, this moon is going to be in a fire sign, Jupiter is going to be in a thinking air sign, the sun is going to be in an earth sign, and then Saturn and Pisces and waters, like really needing us to like feel into our our energy levels, our emotions, like how are we feeling about it? Are we
mhm,
aligned with what
right,
we are contemplating?
yeah,
And we will need to like step away from what we're debating about, like what we're trying to decide.
right. So step
So
away. How let's put cards on it.
there you go. There you go.
How do we? Because I'm just gonna say, how do we step away from what we're thinking about and just move forward? You know, like what is that? How does that step away even look?
Yeah.
You know, just even sometimes, like my step away is action, but the action could be my
Going to the
journal. I mean,
beach.
well, no, no, that the beach for me is like release. Action would
Yeah.
be like open up my journal, I'm writing down a plan and I'm
I
writing
mean, you
it.
could infuse them both. Like you could be doing this
I'll
kind of
go to the
process
beach
at
and
the
write down the
beach
plan.
because you can get a lot of information from
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. No, I just
elements.
me personally. No, no. Go to the beach. If you
Yeah.
need to go to the beach, go to the beach. Okay, so we're gonna see this week since we know that the mind is that we're going to be in our minds this week, right?
Yeah.
This week is coming up. We're going to be stuck in our minds. It's not a negative thing. Don't think like, oh, I'm being unproductive. No, because also too, if we know we're going to be stuck in my mind, so be like, what should I be thinking about?
Well,
What
can I
do I want to
also
focus on?
like there's also a supportive aspect happening at the same time during this quarter moon, which is Mars in Cancer, which is just at the beginning degrees of Cancer. So I
Mm-hmm.
think on the 10th, it's going to be at 3 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be at 3 degrees and it will be in a trine to Mercury in Virgo. So Mercury is exalted at home in
Behind
Virgo.
Virgo. Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
Mars in Cancer being like the emotional action. And
Mm-hmm.
so we'll be able to take this emotionally inspired action to communicate
Ah,
and process what we are deciding.
yeah, that's that's perfect energy to have more clarity about what
Yeah.
you're stuck in your head about, right?
Yeah, Mars sextile Mercury. Mars in
I'm
Cancer
just
sextile
I'm
Mercury in
trying to
Virgo.
think of what deck I should use. That's in front of me. I'm just thinking like, oh, I know. I'll use my shaman deck. Duh.
Wow. So Mars in Cancer sextile Mercury in Virgo. And you're gonna pull a card. What did you call it? The
The cocktail
cocktail?
of cerebral energies that we will also be experiencing with the first quarter moon and the 9/9 portal, and just all next week, really, right? How do we move forward, or what? How do we move forward while we're having these experiencing these energies? Yeah.
Mhm.
Or what do we do with the energy? You know, just what do we do with the energy? What
Yeah, I feel like
aspect? And just see what
Being
comes out.
by body of water is a good idea, like with our journals, writing it out, getting it out on
Mhm,
paper. That's
mhm,
connected to, the sun in Virgo, sun in Earth sign, writing it out,
mhm, mhm.
considering all the different options, of course, Jupiter and Gemini.
Right, because you said it's a lot of options too. Yeah, think about
Mhm.
all the options we have.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
understand but not have an opinion about.
and maybe it's just about it could even be figuring out what your options are.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't feel like you have an option or you feel stuck until you just like, you know what? I zoom out. I got some options here. So there's a card that fell out. There's always when a card falls
Oh,
out, I'm always
we love that
curious.
when cards fall out.
Let's see what let's see what's out. So interesting. It's definitely the base. Earth.
Oh, how appropriate.
And it's number 17. And isn't that Virgo number 17?
17. I love the number
Or
17.
September? One of the isn't because I think August is 16 or but I think there's a 17 is connected either with the Virgo or the September energy. That's 17. Yeah, because eight.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wait, 8. 17 is it a Leo degree? I believe it's a Leo degree because it's the if you degree theory, if you go around the wheel enough
Okay.
times, it stops on Leo at 17.
Mm. So that's 17. Okay, so if we look at it, and it's interesting. I'm looking at this Earth card, right? But it's the guy's face. And I'm just like again, it's like it's mental, but yeah, it's the face, almost like the face of the earth. It's not like the body, but it's the face. And it's almost like here, it's like his upper chakras, but it's the earth. Number 17.
And
I guess
17 is
maybe.
like numerologically, one is spirituality and or leadership, and 7 is spirituality,
Hmm.
right?
So, and then what I'm getting from this too is, again, the earth of our body, our physical earth, because it's like the man, like humankind, and just that merge between that union between earth and man. So go out and see some nature. Again, getting beyond, that mental being stuck or that cause cocktail of cerebral energies. Tap into nature. Turn the electronics off and go and face nature, whether it's water or, but immerse yourself in some nature. Let's read. What are you getting from it? What are you getting from it? And then you said the 17 was Leo, right? So if we
Yeah.
tap into that Leo energy, Leo is also
Hmm.
about your identity, right? So again,
Definitely.
like um how what is your and maybe that's what we'll be thinking about. What is now your identity as you walk the path of this earth? And maybe we need, and if we want to kind of like have some clarity with that, maybe we need to tap into nature and really connect with nature for that new identity, for those new roles, for those new paths, for those new stuff. So the answer is
Yeah.
nature. And what are you getting? What are you getting?
Yeah, I feel like with the 17 too, it's connecting to accessing the intuitive creativity
Mm-hmm.
that comes from your unique soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be pulled out when we are in connection to nature, whether you are a earth sign, air sign, fire sign, water sign, like
Mm-hmm.
connecting to all of them, having that balance. So there is, like there's a swirliness around the face, like around,
Yeah,
the
I see
crown
it.
chakra. And that is very intangible energy. So like intangibility is that to me connects to Pisces being like in the ethereal world, but it can also be very airy, like, the transmissions that come and go with Gemini and Libra and Aquarius.
The
And
mutable energy.
we'll get the air signs being and yeah, definitely the mutability of, you know, adjusting. The swirliness is like adjusting and tweaking and like going back and forth, like
Mm-hmm.
dialing things in,
Mm-hmm.
considering all the options. And consider is actually like the etymology of it is, I want to say, connecting with the stars or something along those lines.
Yeah, Capricorn energy, the cider. Yeah, it's a lot to
Mm,
do with that. That's the cider, like the brain, the mental. Yeah,
mm,
but I'm picking up like the mutable energy too with this, like you have the earth, but then you have his face almost like merging, and almost like those mutable signs is when we kind of like we use that
shapeshift.
Yes, and that form, and it's like again the water, but it's the mutability of it, the melting
Mhm,
and the molding and intertwining with it, and yeah.
mhm,
So again, connecting with the body, but all connecting our bodies with the earth, but also allowing the change and the mutability of ourselves, and just being able to adapt and change and shift with the seasons too. So yeah, that's what I'm getting. Like be connected with the earth, but how earth goes into the seasons. Um, be ready to shift with the seasons. As you said, the shapeshifter is a whole different aspect. But again,
mhm.
shifting with the season is a shapeshifter. That's another aspect of the shapeshifter as well. Yeah.
And I think
So I'll
it's
go with
important to also not like stay attached to any one option, like staying
mm-hmm,
open
mm-hmm.
to possibilities because
Yeah.
anything can change. Like with Uranus making contact with all of these, especially Pluto and
Mm-hmm.
Neptune, like there are there's potential of sudden changes, like a
Yeah.
sudden shift in direction. So
Yeah.
we have to be open to those opportunities as well
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah. The changes.
trust, like
Yeah,
being,
the changes that are coming in. Yeah.
yeah, trusting in the shifts, no matter how sudden they are.
Okay, so let's listen to let's read what the book says. Well, first, it's definitely the earth sign, and it represents the gift of life. The symbol on this card refers to the body of planet Earth and the human body and nature herself. Yeah. So we're reminded by the symbol that all creatures are born on the earth and human beings are the stewards of all life and planets, all life on this planet. It refers to what we make of it, our health, our wealth, our security, our grounding, our solidity, and our stability. It reminds us that the world of form is a gift from spirit and needs to be treated with respect. The invitation is when the earth symbol appears, it represents a need to focus on reverence and
Mhm.
appreciation for the natural gifts that are coming to you now and always. The concrete world you might inhabit is there by the grace of spirit, and you are a part of it. Much can be accomplished now, so when you focus on compassionate, reverent service to the world, if you act with integrity, gratitude, and humility, you will find yourself more prosperous than you can imagine. Success is assured when the earth appears as an invitation. Ooh, so this is the beautiful sign too, right?
Oh my
So as
gosh,
we
that's
contemplate everything, again, ego, we're going to be successful,
mhm.
right? But don't forget to have this reverence with the earth, and again, that's such a big message with even everything that we were even talking about before we just got into the September energy with just this whole Aquarian energy and the collective energy, um, to, what we're changing to, again, this relationship and this reverence for earth, again, bringing that back, tapping back into those ancient times and that reverence and the rituals and the ceremonies and just how we walked with earth, and that relationship with earth. So yes, definitely. And I think that kind of leads us into where we were going next with, our new platforms and expanding. But is there anything else you wanted to talk about this card as we
Yeah,
before we
definitely.
go into that?
The connection to having this reverence and oh, there was a triple conjunction that this card reminds me of, or what you were reading about with Saturn and Pisces.
Mhm.
And this was February 28th of this year. It was a Sun
Mhm.
Saturn Mercury conjunction, which I consider to be like a reverence reborn.
Mhm.
So kind of reviving that reverence to Earth and
Mhm.
how we are in connection to Earth and
Mhm.
nature. And
Yes.
so, gosh, there were some other things, the blessings that are coming through, which is
Yes.
Neptune in Pisces. You know,
Yes.
and in this square to Jupiter and Gemini, these are things that we can speak into existence, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
our
Mm.
words are really powerful
Powerful.
right now with
Mhm.
Jupiter and Gemini.
Yes.
So, so much connection to the
So
astrology
then
for sure.
speak to our success. Again, we were asking, how do we deal with being stuck in the brain this week? Speak to our success. Tap into nature.
Mhm,
Re-devote yourself because I think devotion it was a big energy of September, right? And devotion is like just choosing a path to commit to or choosing what you're gonna commit to. Again, having reverence for in terms of, recommit yourself to nature, recommit yourself to just even developing that relationship with nature, and that could be the beach, that could
mhm.
be the trees, that could be the animals, that could be water. Remember when one week I was guided to just do like a 7 day reverence to the element of water, and I would just go to the water for 7 days. Like there's so many
Mm,
different little things that you could just do with yourself, you know.
yeah, I
Even
love
if you say,
that.
let me connect with fire for a week, and then and then just do a prayer every night. Or look into a flame, a candle flame every night, and just reconnect. We've been reconnecting with the stars, with the newt
Mm,
meditations. Again, recognizing, yes, there's a relationship. There's something between me and the stars going on. There's something going on
yes.
with the sky that I can tap into, and it could feed me, and I can give resources back to it. There's giving and receiving here. So yeah, tap into nature, and,
Yeah.
and taking it further while you're tapping into nature, speak it. Speak what you
Mm-hmm.
want into existence, and really activate it by speaking. Speak to tell nature what you want while you're there.
Mm,
Speak to it, and listen too. Listen to for the signs and the symbols. Observe and listen to the response, as well. We receive as well as we give to nature. I know September is
mhm.
also like a cleanup month. We're supposed to do a cleanup beach campaign this month too, so it could even be little stuff like that. What can you do to just help to clean up the earth, and
Yeah,
cleanse the earth, pick
right.
up the litter, pick up the trash, little stuff
It's
like that too.
kind of like
So
a, newborn discipline and a devotion to this discipline to like
yes,
nurture and foster this connection
yeah,
to nature
yeah,
and like being
yes,
open to the communication, like opening, like blowing open the communication lines with nature.
yes, yes,
Because
and
like weren't we talking about how we can navigate life with so much more ease when we are in connection to
yes,
nature and the divine, because then we
everything.
can be led down the path or up the
Yes,
path of our purpose, and we don't
yeah,
have to work so hard.
yes,
We're going to
yeah.
be
A
working
lot of
smarter and not harder.
harder, right? We're all trying to be smarter, right? And that's a nice bridge for us to step into the 15th chakra, right?
Hmm.
Again, up
Yes.
leveling ourselves, as well as understanding too that nature is your partner in this path of life.
Nurture the universe, like you are never
Yeah, and which
alone,
includes the cosmos, not just the grass and this and the water, but in the planets as well, So when we
above
tap
and
into
below.
astrology, we're tapping into nature, So the 15th chakra came up, right? And I kept on getting just these prompts again, these algorithm. The algorithm is bringing the 15th chakra to me,
Mm,
or my mitochondria was pulling the,
yeah.
the 15th chakra to me. And I
Telling
had
you to
to
look up,
and I
look
had to
up.
dig into it and look like, what's the 15 chakra, right? And
Hmm.
I discovered
Like
it's
pulling your hair.
it's almost like it's the outside. Well, it was a couple of things. It was the 15th chakra, because I'm still learning about this. It's the 15th chakra, and it seems like your 15th chakra also connects you to your alto major chakra, or they call it the zeal chakra.
Zeal,
And
Zeal.
Zeal, right? And
Oh,
that's all kind of like in your crown. But the 15th chakra, they say it's outer space. It's in outer space, right? So when you look at the diagram, which is interesting, and again, we're going to a new platform. When you tap into your 15th chakra, you're going to your new platform for your spiritual expansion, basically, as well as it's now we were talking about again that four energy, that platform, that grounding, So if how I guess how I receive the information. It's like, okay, if I'm grounding myself to the earth for this earthly experience, as you want to communicate, as we were like communicate with Uranus, as opposed yeah, make sure I'm saying it right. I
Uranus,
just
Uranus, tomato,
right
tomato.
wrong. Uranus. Yeah, so we want to tap into Uranus as opposed to tapping into, like you were saying, and Uranus is a higher aspect of another
Mercury,
aspect. Right, right. So
higher
again, it's like
Mercury.
there's this hierarchy there, So again, if I am tapping into the earth and saying, okay, I want this earth to be my platform, or suppose now I want to start tapping into the higher energies of the celestial beings. And so my platform, I might need to be like there's a what do they call it when they go into space? There's a when they land. They call it
Okay.
not the satellite, but when you're watching the movies, it's
Launch
the,
pad.
and it's not that the launch pad is on Earth, but
Mm-hmm.
when they launch from space, they launch from, it's a word that they call it. I can't, like
Oh,
the space station. I think it's a space station,
is it?
right? Where the rocket after it launches from Earth, but it lands at the space station on wherever it is, right? And then anyway, so it's space stations, right? So and then when they're coming back to Earth, they orbit from the space station. So you have two platforms that you're orbiting from. So I think about it like that. Like the 15th chakra is your grounding your space station where you would ground on that higher realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're tapping into your 15th chakra, again, it's about tapping into your outer body chakras. So it's this, again, it's this grounding. You're grounding your new platform, but you're now tapping into more of those outer body elements of yourself. But anyway, that again, there's just not that everything is not in the same circle. Their planets
Mm-hmm.
here, their planets here, their planets here. So just like our body system, their chakras
Yeah, we're
here,
further away from the
their
sun.
chakras here, their chakras out there, their
Right.
chakras below us, their inner body chakras and their outer body chakras, right? So again, there's levels to us.
Yep.
So I'm thinking of that 15th chakra as a new, not a new platform, but that platform that you ground in as you are tapping into more of those outer bodies, outer chakras, outer planets, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
exoplanets, whatever it is. And again, the earth, right? Just connecting all of that, grounding in, right? So the zeal chakras now are the chakras that are, again, it's here, it's out. Actually, the zeal chakra is the top of your spinal cord, the base of your neck,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can actually feel that area, and that there's a almost a triangle
Yeah, yeah,
between
yeah.
your third eye, right above your third eye, well, your third eye, your zeal, and your throat. So if you just envision that, that becomes you're activating your zeal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then connecting that with your 15, right? So, again, expanding yourself, and that helps again to open up your third eye even more, but you're connecting it from a part outside or a chakra outside of
Mm-hmm.
your inner plane, right? So, again, as we expand, as we nine Jupiter, um, we're being guided again this month to just go bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and we need also, I think, too, there's so much energy coming in, cerebral energy coming in, that really says meditate on this, think about it, process it, you know um
Cleanse your pineal gland. Clear
purify,
your
yeah.
throat chakra. Clear
Mhm.
all of your chakras, your third eye, your
Yes.
crown,
Yes,
heart.
especially in Virgo season. Yes, purification. Yes, yeah. So going through all of this, releasing too for the expansion. Yes, but both happening at the same time. We release as well as we're preparing to expand. And we have to definitely think about all of that. And not to do it just like, oh, haphazardly. The beauty of this is you can actually think about the process.
We have to be
Be
mindful. We have to be
be mindful about it and then
mindful,
seed
demure. Have
it.
you heard that like trend?
Mhm.
Be
Say it again.
mindful, be demure. Like very
Mm.
mindful, very demure. It's like this trend that's been floating around.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So what does demure actually mean? To be demure. What does that actually mean? I know I've heard it, but what does that actually mean? To be
I
demure.
mean,
I feel like I
my
just saw that someplace too.
take
What does
is
that
just
mean?
not being like out there, just being like kind of um
Conscious?
softer on the edges,
Or
like
softer, demure.
yeah, like not too
It's
loud,
like a lady is demure. It
elegant,
feels very feminine.
yeah, very feminine. I mean, it fits in with, the Virgo energies of purity, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just like this trend that's been floating around from
Oh,
this.
be mindful, be demure.
Yeah, it's very mindful, very cute. So we're being very mindful. It's like it fits in. Everything is connected.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's definitely a season in terms of life to be mindful. Like if you're not mindful, I want to say because you will just keep on fucking up into something. It's like you got to have that third eye open, or just the two, the three, yeah, you four of them, even the gut brain open. You just got to be wise about everything in this season because they're coming. They're coming to get you. And if
Yeah,
you don't,
we
if you're
can't be
not
too
mindful
dramatic.
of the mirror, you will get caught up in what they're trying to catch.
Exactly. You can't, there's like the multitasking and being all over the place and being scattered is not in our best interest, like being mindful and,
Yeah.
doing one thing at a time, like
Mm.
putting our focus and energy into this, it's a lot more pure when we're able to like have our task at hand be what we are like actually focusing on and
Yes.
just like not spreading ourselves too thin. Like that's the trap that we want to avoid is spreading ourselves
Avoid.
too thin. And it's
And
easier said than done right now because there's so many
yeah.
things for us to research and like, I mean, there's so many opportunities that are coming across us that we are so excited to explore. And it's like,
Yes.
okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to, do everything. But the challenge of this entire configuration is, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, like understanding your energy level to be able to handle everything that's coming in and really discern what deserves our energy and attention.
Well,
As
what's
it
best for you?
Right, yeah, and it's
You
our energy that is the most valued.
know?
So
And I think is your cat. I don't know that's an animal move.
yeah, he's like he heard attention. He needs
I
attention.
know he's like mommy. But no, I think that is again in this season of life, like those things are paramount, to
Mhm.
just be able to have within yourself that know thyself so that I can know how to move through these things, because what is good for like everything is happening, but how to approach it, that's that know thyself part.
Right.
Because I might approach it differently than you because I know my energy and I know, okay, I need to approach it like this because water fire and water in here and that was going out there, I got to approach it differently. You might be a earth and water or whatever, but whatever, yourself, your light and your dark, whatever it is, what you can handle, what you can handle, and you really will understand, yeah, this is the best way that I should move forward with this. So again,
Mhm.
knowing the whole astrology, not just about what's happening inside of you, but what's happening above you. And when you know what's going on inside you and you know what's
Mhm.
going on above you, oh,
Yeah.
you're just like, that is like the perfect combination. I want to read the medicine of this card because it
Right.
reiterates what you were saying just now.
And
And again, like,
I just want to like kind of remind us that we're all figuring it out. We're in a trial and error phase. And so like the energies of air signs, Jupiter and Gemini, and then Pluto going back into like having been in Aquarius and going back into Aquarius after November 19th is experimentation. So we are playing with the energies and seeing what is suitable for us individually. So it's trial and
mm,
error. We're not going to know exactly what methods are, tried and true because those traditional methods are, you know, not, they're obsolete, so we're learning new
good word.
methods and we
Good
have to
word.
give ourselves grace to be able to mess up, like
Yeah.
we
Grace
have
is
to
a
be,
very important
yeah,
theme that
we have
comes
to
up
be
this week.
fluid
Yes.
and
Yeah.
have fun with it. Like that's an important thing about this too, is
Right.
like have fun with
Um, you were talking about trusting nature. Also follow your curiosity,
it.
don't be afraid to follow that curiosity, that's a big reminder that came in this month, this with the September energy too, following our curiosity, the muse. The muse speaks all about allowing your authenticity to play out and to play with life, and to follow that curiosity, and everything that is coming up too, being in tune with nature and being trusting nature in the seasons of life. So the medicine here is, do you feel ungrounded or easily thrown off of your path lately? It is time to focus on what nurtures you, to open yourself to the healing of Mother Earth and see the abundant world around you. Perhaps you have lost the ability to trust your needs will be met and have fallen prey to the poverty consciousness. And that's where we started, that everything is either like fair or lack, Perhaps you have not been eating well, been overworked and stressed, and forgotten to breathe in the beauty of your surroundings. When the spirit of earth comes as your medicine, you're being reminded that when you practice self care, take a walk in nature and focus on the consciousness of abundance, miracles can and do happen. And that is a beautiful reminder. Like earth is here to remind us of miracles and
Mhm.
abundance. One of the things that I made last year was like it's like know your nature, know your magic. Because
Mhm.
what I started, is just this connection between, magic too is something that like shamed again, the things that were shameful magic, And as I started, realizing how magical I was, it's my nature. When I'm in alignment, that's when I'm magical. When I'm manifesting, my words are manifesting within seconds and days, it's when I'm in alignment. So when you're truly in your nature, your natural self, not with loaded down with fear and shame and feelings of lack, that's when you're more powerful. That's when you're in your natural being. That's when you're most magical. That's when you perform the miracles for yourself as well as for others, So nature is magic. Nature reminds us of magic. And because when we see it's sun and then rain. You know what I mean? When it's rain and then sun, or when, one day the flower just pops out and, there's manifestation happening right before our eyes. That is nature. That's natural. And that's the alignment of planets and elements, So
Mhm.
again, to be magical is to be your natural self. So always
Mhm.
remind yourself that you are magic and you can perform the miracles of your life. But being a big part of that miracle maker and that magician is really the true ones, is to really aligning yourself with earth, nature, and everything that is natural, So we can't leave here without saying that.
Yeah, when we are in flow with nature, that's when the magic happens. That's when the
Yeah,
intelligence comes through,
yeah,
and we are
yes.
able to
Intelligence.
like distribute it and like let it flow so that everyone else can feel it too. They can pick up on that. You don't
Yes,
even have to
yes.
say anything, and people can pick up on that, and just like you can kind of see and sense when someone's face turns, when they lighten
Mhm.
up, when
Yes.
you are that light and you're in your flow and you're able to like exude that magic. And then like
Mhm.
miracles, like even if it's a rainbow that appears in the sky,
Mhm.
or all
Mhm.
the magical
Simplicity of
wonders
it. Yeah,
in
the
nature
simplicity
that
and the
just,
complex.
yeah, that appear. Like if you just look up at the sky and pay attention to the birds, there's like some beautiful magical moments that look like
Yeah,
paint that
yeah,
art mimics, but it's
yeah,
in front of us if we can just connect to
yeah.
nature and acknowledge it. And then when people see you acknowledging nature, they see what you're putting your focus and attention on, and they do the same thing, and then they're able to experience the magic too.
Yes,
And that's
yes,
when our
yes,
vibration is raised. Like that's how we
yes.
can raise the vibration like collectively.
Mhm, mhm.
It's
Yeah,
like this, and like don't be afraid to strike up a conversation with someone you share that experience with. Like if
yeah.
you are crossing a path on a trail and like two strangers, you and someone else, you have no idea who they are, but you witness the same beautiful thing. Like it's okay to say how beautiful that was and like,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Like
connect to that magic.
acknowledging, yes, acknowledging the magic of nature, right?
Yeah, it's like that
Mhm.
gossamer feeling where, this beautiful, intangible, whatever it is like, it's like fairy dust, you know?
Mhm. Again, this reverence again with the card, really kind of honed in on is having this reverence again for the earth,
Yeah.
and reverence is spiritual.
Yes. Yeah.
Is honoring and acknowledging and appreciating and loving and holding and
Mhm.
protecting and everything, just really holding, I'm just gonna say honoring really this relationship and just also gratitude, when I think of reverence, just
Mhm.
gratitude, just to be in constant gratitude. Like I remember when I used to drive to my store every day. And on the drive, I would be saying, "Thank you, trees. Thank you,
Mhm.
earth. Thank you, water. Thank you, rain." Like I would just thank anything in nature that I was passing on my route, and just
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." Like you could
Thank you,
constantly
universe.
be in nature and gratitude, be in gratitude for nature. Just thank you for the colors. Thank you for
Yeah.
the air, the water, the rain, the sea, the ocean. And to speak that, I think it's so powerful to speak that too.
And
You
that's
know?
funny that you say that because I'm thinking of like that triple conjunction with the Sun, Saturn, and Mercury in Pisces that I
Mhm.
mentioned about the Reverence Reborn.
Yeah.
Mercury is communication. I mean, with like the Reverence Reborn being this new
Yes, yes, yes,
form,
you did. You said that was
February.
last year, and now we're coming back to it. Yeah, yes, you did mention that.
Yeah, it was
The Reverend
February
Green Born,
28th of
28.
this
Yeah.
year.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was at 9 degrees. So
Mm-hmm.
another synchronicity
No.
with nine.
Yes.
So Mercury being communication, like speaking, and like acknowledging gratitude, whether someone you're sharing that with someone or just with nature, like when you were on your drive to your storage unit, speaking it. Mercury, Saturn, like that discipline to devotion, just reverence. Like I think of Saturn as being this, it's got connections to religion, but like this respect to higher beings,
Higher
higher
order.
ways,
The
higher
higher
order.
order of things,
Yeah.
maybe. Again,
Hmm.
yeah, like last year, a lot of one of the wheels I did, it showed that a new authority was coming in. And
Mm.
as we get closer and closer, as we just move down the wheel, I could see that the new authority is the higher order. Again, I mean, some of us are just completely like that outer middle range is like, no, I'm not focusing on that anymore. I'm just focusing on the higher order. And
Yep.
let's face it, astrology is the higher order. The planets are the higher orders, right? The spirituality is
Mhm.
our higher self, the higher order, right? So even if we just go into ourselves, if we just focusing on the higher body of ourself, the spiritual end of ourselves, the spiritual ends of our zodiac, we are merging more
We're
into
guided.
that being, you
Mhm.
know. Something else that you said, well, we keep on talking about nine. This might be a really good way to wrap it up because we keep on talking about nine,
Right. Nine
like
is
the
that
nine
get up energy.
portal, right? Even though
Yeah.
September is has that seven energy for Sept, it is the ninth month, right? So there's a lot of completion and culmination energy that's coming in. And I started my crystal clarity exploration in February, and I have been counting. And this, the nine energy is kind of, I've been tapping in on the nine energy. And I always, so one, my birthday was in August. So I'm like, okay, 9 months from now, I kind of see like what is birthed 9 months from now. And with me starting the crystal this path in February, and I'm counting, okay, 9 months out from there, it takes us to where? And it's October. And just tracking my own thing, what am I really birthing, or what is going to be birthed 9 months from now? So when you were talking just now, when you were saying February 28th, it was like, okay, that's February. Let's count. That will take us, I think, to October 28th, I think, right? So
From
February, March,
February.
April, May, 9 months from February 28th, right? So this new point of reverence, right? So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October 28th. So like the end of October, we'll be birthing something from that whole journey point of that new reverence and cultivating this new reverence for ourselves and the earth. 10 months, I mean, 9 months takes us to October 28th. Let's see what
Oh my
manifests.
gosh, man. There's like not to like go off on another tangent, but like
I don't know what's
October,
happening around that time, but I'm just saying that's 9 months.
October, yeah, October 28th, I noticed like I don't want to go, too far ahead into the future, but October 28th, Mars in Cancer will be trining Neptune in Pisces, and it'll be the moon will be in Virgo, and
Mm,
Uranus will be there's going to be all these connections again with Mars at that later degree of Cancer. So then it'll be making contact with all of those other planets at the later degrees, really, like, really pushing us to make those changes. Like, this is going to be
yeah.
a major, major
Push.
shift. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
that last contraction.
Yeah, yeah. That's sort of like that major push out. And I
Yeah.
think it's so important to understand, like it's connecting. So like this month, do some stuff, but don't be surprised when the end of October rolls around and then you're getting pushed again forward to your next grand movement. So sometimes it's good to slow down because you don't have to do everything in 1 week. Maybe you have
Right.
between really now and October 28th to really prepare for that next push. There's different ways you
Right.
can plan and look at life,
Right.
but it's all connected. And the beautiful cycle
Definitely.
of this world is that it gives us so many opportunities to
Right.
get into alignment, right? So
That's,
all of
yeah.
this is about using the astrology around us to get more and more in alignment to bring forth and live what we want to live and life, the life we want to experience. So I just wanted to kind of like bring that all in to say, well, it's today, but there's more to this. And
Of
the
course, there's always more
astrology,
to this.
yeah, the astrology we're talking about today, but there's also like, we could also plan that whole thing out with to say, well, all right, I'm gonna make an action step here, and every month there's action steps, but there's another that October 28th, I know there's something gonna happen around that time, and we're
Yep.
gonna prepare ourselves for that. So when that comes in, it's not like Uranus a shock to our system, but it's really like, okay, no, I prepared for this. I know how I'm gonna move through this. I know which direction I'm going in, and all right, I got
You're
this,
open to it. You're open to the different directions that are being
Right,
presented, because like
right.
we have planets
As
still
long as you know
retrograde.
which way you're already gonna go. So even if it's like a million open up, you're like, nah, I got this. I know what I'm doing. It's like September. Like that's how I feel. I've been planning for September for the past since February. So now like
Mhm.
no matter what happens this month, I already have a plan for this month. I'm not changing that plan. Like I know what I'm doing this month. So there has to be something that really pushes me where I can't do what I already planned to do.
Right.
But that hasn't happened yet. Everything that I have planned for this month is falling into alignment. And that's how you want to experience life. You can plan ahead. And when the universe comes in or when the season comes in, everything of that season, you will realize that everything of that season is actually supporting and pushing you towards that plan that you've already put together for yourself.
Hmm.
We can't live this way
Yes, we can live with
Yeah.
ease and just
We
stay
can
in
live with
flow.
these. So are
Yeah.
we leaving them with a cosmic gem tonight?
What was the cosmic gem? Oh my gosh. Wait
The
a minute.
the cosmic gem was because so one of the things we want to do also is, before we wrap it up, just, leave you guys with the cosmic gem. And we're hoping that we provided some throughout the whole show or these shows. It might end up being two videos, most likely. But we just wanted to leave you guys with a cosmic gem that, the unknown, because a lot, again, we were talking about fear and lack, right? And pushing through those moments. And that usually is called like stepping into the unknown, stepping into the dark, right? And one of the things that, we both experience is that, there's the unknown and there's the known, but sometimes that unknown can be something that you always known. It's just that it's that, that deep knowing, it's really what we step into. And when we step into the unknown, which is also the subconscious mind, it is that deep knowing within ourselves, right? So you can kind of like be a little more brave as we step into the dark and as we step into these unknown territories and parts of our own paths. Because as we go into that, what we discover is the depth of ourselves, and we discover the stuff that we truly already knew. So it's not like a new discovery, it's almost like a rediscovery.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to step into the unknown because it's usually what you always knew
Yeah,
deep
didn't you
within yourself.
also mention how this is like the door of ascension?
They described the 15th, they were describing the 15th chakra as the door of ascension. Yeah. So that even came into play too. So, and again, I think life is just about ascension. And again, we didn't really go into it specifically, but we think that, like ascension is only for the saints and the angels and all of that. But no, human beings, we came here to ascend. Actually, we descended, right? The spirit, they say the spirit descended to come into the earth body. So as we are in this earth body, we do ascend through our mental and our body mutates, as well as when we die, our spirit is ascending into another realm. So we constantly, in the fullness of life, we are constantly descending and ascending. It is just the continuation, the continuum of life. So we're all here to ascend.
Hmm.
Yep. We're all here to
Yeah.
go through this process. It's not for just the saints and the angels.
Yeah, I
It's
think
for
it's
you
important
too.
to also realize that we have to trust what we are attracting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
best part of like trusting the unknown and remembering that we don't really not know what we don't know. It's a matter of remembering and trusting what we are attracting, like what is
Yeah. Yeah.
coming to us.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
so yeah, we we've been talking about this. So it was like the Virgo sun and the Sag moon. That's the first quarter square with all this mutable energy. And then come September 17th, it will be the full moon
Full moon. Yeah.
lunar north node eclipse or north node lunar eclipse. So this is an um, out of sign lunar eclipse. So the north node is in Aries at 6 degrees, and then the full moon is going to be at 25 degrees and 40 minutes of Pisces. And so it's still within that range, so that it's considered an eclipse. It's a partial eclipse.
Mhm.
And this is kind of like the prequel to the nodal shifts
Okay.
come January, I believe, gosh, I think it's January, I want to say 11th.
I was going to say 13, so I think you're right with 11.
Yeah,
But that's a
somewhere
one
around
one
there.
one.
So this is
Mm.
when the nodes shift into Pisces and Virgo. So the North Node will be in Pisces, and that's our, destiny point, the direction that we're moving toward. And then the South
Mhm.
Node will be in Virgo. So letting go of like this, the shadow energies of Virgo, which could be like exploitation of services. Like
Mhm.
being in servitude without acknowledgement or gratitude. Like we're letting go
Mhm.
of that,
Okay.
letting go of the rat wheel, jumping off the rat wheel.
Mhm.
So this,
But
yeah,
good.
this
That's the good stuff we're releasing. That's some good stuff.
right, yeah,
And
that's called
collectively,
for.
so 'cause we are in the Aries Libra now, so we're shifting to Virgo Pisces.
Right. For
Cusp by
right, the
January.
North Node is going to be in Pisces
Pisces
and
and
the
the
South
South Node is going to
Virgo.
be right. And
Right.
now it's Libra Aries, right?
Right. The North Node is in Aries, so
Aries. Mhm.
independence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance. Courage is a big part of the North Node in Aries, and then we're letting go of the Libra, people pleasing, codependency, like sacrificing your needs for the you know need of the group. So like that
Yeah.
Aries Libra axis is definitely relationship
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was looking on the galactic calendar to see just kind of like what energy was coming around that full moon on the 17th.
Hmm.
So it's a throat chakra day,
Okay.
guided to our throat chakras, and we're guided by flowering again. So it's that same, well, it's with seeding and flowering, but the same flowering energy too, to bloom, right? To expand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a yellow resonant. Resonant is seven. That seven energy comes in again. Yellow resonant human. So the ripening resonant human being, so again,
Oh,
more of our bodies, more of ourselves coming into activation on that full moon as well. Yeah.
that's funny
Mhm.
because didn't you say that was my is that my what do you call that?
Oh,
Uh,
your tone. What was your tone? Yeah, you're human. You're tribe. You're human. Yeah, you're a yellow
Yellow
human. Yeah.
human, right?
But that's why your full moon, you're having that
It's
resonance with the full moon because you are a yellow human. That is your tribe. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hitting my sun and Mercury like to the degree, and like this one's at 25 degrees and
Yeah.
40
Tell us about
minutes.
your chart now.
Yeah, it's there's like so much hitting my chart right now. So like the Uranus at 27 Taurus is hitting my Jupiter at 26 Taurus. And then in the fifth house is like creativity, joy, entrepreneurship as well, like passion projects, as well as dating. But like I said, I'm like a born again nun. And then the moon is going to be on my sun and Mercury. My Mercury is Cazimi. So Cazimi is like when it's in the heart of the sun within, I think, 17 minutes
Ooh,
of the sun. So
that's
this,
17 again.
yeah, that's 17. I love the number 17.
Mhm.
Oh, so the moon is at 25 degrees, 40 minutes, and my Mercury is at 25 degrees and 38 minutes, and my sun is at 25 minutes and 35 minutes. So
Okay.
it's like right on top.
Really close. Yeah. And your tribe is there. Yeah. Your yellow human. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you don't hear from me after
So
the
you were full
17th,
moon day. It's fine.
you'll know I've been caught up by the rapture. I have like levitated out of this realm, which would
No,
be a
you can't
dream.
go too far. You can't go. We got things to do. We got.
Neptune's
And
gonna carry me away. Like there's a song called Neptune. Like, oh, I have to send that to you. Oh gosh, who was it? It's like getting caught up by Neptune, I think is the name of the song. Something like
okay, okay, okay. So if you go out to outer space on the full moon day, please come back. That's what I was gonna say. Because
I'll
anyway, but
reach you through like another
Uranus,
dimension.
we out to my zeal chakra,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was another thing I was gonna mention.
to my 15th chakra, and to my zeal, and to my somas, and I will connect with you either way.
You
But
know what? It's so
go
funny
ahead.
because that that triangle connection, I remember like back, I don't know how old I was, probably like 11 or 12, but my mom was into like, these metaphysical things, right?
Mhm,
And there was this triangular contraption that like when you were talking about the zeal
mhm,
triangular place at the back of the head and then the
mhm,
third eye and then the throat
mhm.
chakra and then
So
this
yeah.
triangle.
Mhm.
Like she would wear this triangle on top of her head that would like connect, like the
So,
back triangle bar would touch the back of the head and it would
mhm.
connect to the
Right.
third eye, and then the
Mhm,
bar here would be in alignment with the throat chakra and it would be
mhm.
pointing
Wow.
in front of her mouth. And so I
Right.
never thought anything of it. I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever,
She
mom.
was activating her zeal.
Yeah, like where is that contraption?
Call,
Like where I have to ask her like where she got it from. Like,
call mom and tell her, listen, now I know what that thing was and I need it.
yeah, quit keeping
But
secrets.
also have you seen those? Like I remember seeing in 2020 somebody not invented, but somebody had designed it when it was literally like this golden
Mhm.
triangle that you could put on top of your head and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah,
Mhm.
and even when I read that, it was like, yeah, your third eye is open, and I think it's just again, it's always like again expansion. And this month we were exploring with the amethyst spiritual expansion, and it's like you're always going to be called to expand more. you can get to a point where you know everything. Okay. And then something new will come in for you to learn or for you to acknowledge or for you to completely break down and dismantle and then allow something new to come in again, you know? So this spiritual expansion is ongoing and
Right.
expansion of ourselves is ongoing, you know, and our mindsets is ongoing. So to allow that is a beautiful process as well, you know, just continue to allow yourself to expand and what comes in is beautiful, you know, it shows you so much more of life, of this life, inclusive of yourself, you know, and how we can connect ourselves into this bigger picture, the zoom, the
Mhm.
zooming out of life, you know. So yeah. But call mama please, because we need
I
those.
know. Where
But
can
also too, like when I was reading it, it reminded me too, like of just, you know, like you feel and even when I started like really tapping into the dragon energy was actually last year, but I started to tap into it like through meditation. But when I started to like realize that there's me, but then there's this whole and it really was like this acknowledgement that like just like how these earrings are here, there's this whole universe behind you that
Mm,
you're tapping into. You know, like when I sit in meditation, I'm tapping into stuff. You know
right.
what I mean? And we're doing it through the body, through the mind, right? But and it just started to it was like I could just feel literally the cosmos and everything that I was connected to. And I remember that last year, just really acknowledging like, hey, this is just me here sitting in this grass. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
me and all of this astrology that I'm connected to. And that's when I started coming into like the cosmic discovery, like discovering really what all of this energy is that you're connected to, this astrology that you're really connected to and connecting yourself with that and really allowing that to speak to you. So knowing that, yeah, this is physical me, but there's this non-physical, unknown, invisible me that is
right.
very powerful. And I'm
Mhm.
tuning myself into that because you'll become more powerful. And that's where for me that dragon energy comes in. You understand your whole constellation, you know, your sun, your moon, your north, your south, your 15th, your alpha major, your somas, you know, like
Mm,
we as the human is so much. You know, it's big energies. We're really big energies.
right. We are all energy. We are
Yeah,
energetic beings. That's how we are connected
yeah,
to the cosmos.
yeah.
And for anybody that just has can't fathom that connection to these planets and how we affect each other,
Mhm.
like we affect the planets affect us. Like
Like us.
they move is reflected in how we move. Like everything is already put in place based on how we are, the decisions that we make, the steps that
Yeah,
we take, the words that we choose to say. Like
yeah,
it's
yes,
all co-creation.
yeah,
And so all of
yeah,
this time we have been unconsciously co-creating, but now
yes.
we are coming into this understanding of how we can collectively, consciously
Consciously
co-create,
co-create. Yes,
mindfully co-create.
co-create.
We can,
Temporarily co-create.
right, intentionally, like we can put intention
Yes,
in our co-creation so
yep,
that the future that we are building is a
yes,
future that we actually want to be in, and we can enjoy, not just like being in this rat wheel, having this image of, heaven projected onto the screen that we can't access, and being told that, oh, we have to do all these steps in order to reach heaven. Like all that is being reversed, and we are
yes,
understanding that no, we are able to actually co-create heaven on earth in this reality.
yes, yes,
And I
yeah,
think that's part of like what Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries is
yeah.
going to be about, and
Mhm,
Pluto moving into Aquarius and Jupiter moving into Cancer. We're going to really feel into that.
mhm,
Uranus moving into Gemini. Oh my gosh, there's like a lot of things to be
yeah,
excited about. But
yeah. And then it's also like again going into just like the build up, you know, because this is like a year like it started a long time ago and it's going on for a long time. You know what I mean? It's not something where okay, this is happening tomorrow or by the next solar eclipse it's going to be done. No, this is a
like a
year to
building,
year build up process. So every year counts, every month counts, every day counts, you know? So
every
just
breath counts.
continuously looking forward to you know, the next, you know, and every season really allowing you to come more and more and more into form, you know,
Mhm.
whatever that form is authentic for you. And as you were talking, like it just was like just reiterating devotion, reverence, and integrity, you know, and it's like as we move along this map of life. It's like we're experiencing more of that heavenly experience, but it's not outside of ourselves because it's happening through the transformation of us individually and collectively,
Right.
creating that just more pleasurable experience life for each
Well,
other in a harmonious way, right? But
mhm,
it's going through it's by us individually deciding to walk a more integral way,
mhm.
to devote ourselves to something, and one of the things being the earth and nature, us
Like
allowing
living.
ourselves to be more authentic. You know what I mean? So again, it's again the individual saying, yeah, I'm gonna devote myself to something. I'm gonna behave a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Gonna be mindful and demure.
I'm gonna be yeah, it's again, it's about us taking, the higher path, and as well as the road less traveled. So both of them.
Yeah,
So again,
exactly.
it's up to us. We have to do it, So it's part of, and it's a collective process, and compassion is a big part of it too, because not everybody gets it at the same time. So don't even get so frustrated about the ones that don't get the memos that you've gotten, because they will get it. And again, that contrast helps us all to see each other, look at where we were, look at where we need to go, and have our own inner reflections and triggerings and manifestations because of all of it, so we can
Yeah.
trust it all. We really can trust it all. I know it looks crazy at times, but you can trust you, and getting to
Mhm.
the point to trust you is where you don't have to trust the crazy, but you can trust you as we
Right.
clear out all of the crazy within ourselves, as well as we can definitely trust the cosmos. That you can trust.
Definitely, yeah. Unconditional acceptance, like the emphasis on the Pisces, Neptune at the final degrees, Neptune coming to the final degrees is that unconditional acceptance and the discipline to have compassion
Okay.
and forgiveness for what is like everybody's got their own path and experience to have. So
Yes, yeah.
just letting go of any expectations,
Hmm.
you know?
And I think coming into order is, like how you were talking about, like we've been uh we're walking backwards, or we've been in the backwards, and now we're kind of going to start walking forward. It's like we're really coming into order, and if we can realize that the changes that are happening, even they look crazy and we might not like them, or might look kind of fearful, um, it will bring the order that is required as you are able to almost overstand it, and observe it. You will actually see that order is coming into play, because of what looks like it's not in order, that actually is the dismantling of the disorderly world. It's
That's
almost a
exactly what's
dismantling
happening.
of the chaos to bring in the order. um Shawshank Redemption, they had to go through tunnels of shit to get
Hmm.
their freedom. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like that for us. We have to go through tunnels of clearing shit, and to get to our freedom. And yeah, that's what we doing.
That's what's
we're
happening. Like
tunneling through the
there,
sewer.
there's going to be a lot of realizations and revealing of uh, un things that we don't really not all of us may be ready to hear a lot of things.
To
True,
hear it. Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
hard
yeah,
pills
yeah.
to there's going to be a lot of hard pills to swallow, but that makes it even that much more important to see everything as like a circus, a performance, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all these players are in their place as, you know,
As
people who
required.
people who are like adding contributing to the contrast so that we can be triggered in order to make these changes.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
we have to look at it like that and like not get too bogged down
Yeah,
into
everybody's, as Shakespeare said, everybody's playing a role. The world's a stage,
the world
so
is a stage. Yeah, we can
just
get too
remember
bogged
that.
down into like the not the trauma, but there's been a lot of God, I can't think anymore.
Yeah, I know
There's
some
been a
words
lot of
about support is real.
fraud. There's been a lot of fraudulent
Fraud. Mm,
activity in the
right.
systems that we have given our trust to.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
have to come to realize that it's going to fix itself. Like we have been in the right. Okay. So the universe is going to right the wrongs in the most efficient ways that the universe knows how. And so we don't have to dwell on like retribution or
Mm, mm.
vindication, like we
Yeah.
have to let go of that kind of way of thinking and like,
Mhm.
give it up to the universe and just
Yeah,
be, that's where the integrity comes into play too, is like, just as long as you know your truth and you're able to stand on it, the universe
yeah.
will take care of the rest.
Yeah. I think that like when I was as we kind of like moved away or further and further away from 2020, I think a lot of people were as more and more truth came in, and we're still in that on that ship kind of more and more truth came in. It was like, and even with different little things that I see, some of the distracting stuff that comes in, it's like people are waiting for the punishment. People are waiting for
Mm,
the the jail sentence. People are waiting, and
blame.
I don't think it's going to happen that way. And then that's just kind of like the memo I've been getting since 2020. It's like all of this is happening for y'all to wake up.
Mhm.
Either you guys get it or you don't get it. And if you get it, then you should be very grateful that you got that. You know what I mean? But it's waking up, and it's also revelation. So you know what I mean? So yeah, the old way is like, okay, you're gonna be punished because you did a bad thing, but it's like, nah, it's your life is how you respond to what is happening.
Exactly.
Is just is where you're at. You know what I mean? Your response is your stand.
Hmm.
So, and again, we all have free will, and there's actions, and there is a return of energy.
Right.
So if you do this, then that next step is that this is going to come. And then if you do that, then this is going to come. Cause and effect is
Yep.
universal law. You know what I mean? So again, even the choices that we made today will bring us to the point where we have to make a decision because that choice is manifested. You know what I mean? So I think the old to just support what you're saying, I think the old way of, again, good, bad, you'll be punished and all of this is kind of like an old way of how the world was working. But also too, as we evolve and go into more harmony and evolve as people, we won't need that level of harsh punishment because there's self-governance. And
Right.
if we have more people who are really able to self-govern themselves, then that whole that whole aspect of life is less necessary. You know
Obsolete.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So again, we're moving away from that hard aspect of life and those punishment, which we might still say, oh, they did awful things, so we want to see them punished, and we want to see them, that I think, and this is just me, what I've been getting, what I've been seeing is that is an old way. And
Yep.
not to say that retribution won't come in. Retribution is coming in, but it's not going to come in the way that we think it
It's gonna
should.
it's gonna come in the
Because
form of lessons. It's gonna be a reframe.
right,
Like
right.
we've been
No,
taught.
I need retribution for the dense. I mean, for the
Yeah,
denser stuff, so because that stuff is not just gonna not have any reaction. The
consequences.
universal law is universal law. You do an action, that energy is coming back to you.
Right.
You
But
can't hide that, and that's not new.
yes, and
You know what I
yes.
mean?
Also, there's the understanding of why those acts have been performed. Like why there's going to be like a deeper understanding of how those behaviors came about.
Hmm.
And so it's
Hmm.
like that Jupiter and Gemini understanding of like understanding these perspectives and not having an opinion about it so
Hmm.
that we don't
Hmm.
get emotionally pulled into the morality of whatever it is.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
there's that big shift as well because Pluto, looking with the astrology, like Pluto in Aquarius is going to be in a trine to Jupiter and Gemini.
Hmm.
And so there's going to be this mental understanding of like these, like Pluto's like the underworld. And so there's going to be an understanding of these psychological behaviors that nobody has ever wanted to touch. But with Jupiter and Gemini, Gemini is curious and is going to want to explore and talk about like all of these things that have been happening, but
Hmm.
nobody's been wanting to talk about. So this trine with Jupiter and Pluto in air signs is going to reframe a lot
Open
of
up a
these
lot
old
of, oh,
paradigms.
yeah. I think that's the
Yeah,
biggest story there. Like
we are being set up for
we're
that.
working towards all of this, and that's also the duration, endurance, that came out during the meditation stuff like that, and leadership, stamina, and action, because the stamina, like, no, this isn't just, okay, well, I made this choice in 2020. How come I'm still making choices? Like it's a 10-year journey. It's a almost 10-12 year reset. You know what I mean? So
No,
to
these are
also
outer
have that.
planets. These are slow moving planets that take a long
Right. We have
time
to have
to
that
develop.
patience, yeah, with ourselves
Right.
and this process that, even if we don't see it, in the next election, or we might see it. We're gonna have elections around the place at US, even here, and I think ours is 2020 five. Ours is in 2025, I think.
Yeah.
So even if we don't
The
see it,
Bahamas.
we might see it in the next one. It's again, it's a
Yeah.
process, but also I always think that there's a step closer. We're making a step
Right.
closer every day.
Yeah, this
So
is a collective
yeah,
process. So, I
yeah,
mean, we can only control what we can do individually, but
yeah.
when we
Don't give
see
up.
it,
The whole point is not to give up on the process. Know that
yeah,
you keep it up. As
right.
you keep on doing it, other people will come in and keep on doing it too. But we
And
all
we
are
learn from each
learning.
other when we witness the process in other people, then
Yes,
there's inspiration that can be gained from that and lessons, inspiration
definitely.
and lessons. Like there can be inspiration in the lessons that we see other people learning, It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that happened to them. Like, okay, I'm not going to do that, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's really about you. It's about you seeing it. It's about you seeing what's going on. It's about you saying within yourself the same thing that you just said. Oh, hell no, I'm not gonna do that.
yeah,
Or it's about you
protecting your
actually.
energy.
Yeah, thank God it's not you out there that it's happening to. But if you're watching it, you really can say, you know what? I'm glad I didn't go that way. Or if I'm tempted, oh, I'm glad I didn't do that. Or this is again,
Or
just
yeah,
it's just
let me pray for them,
yes, yes. Like
I
just
hope they're the
be
best.
yourself, decide who you are, and
Yeah.
be grateful that it's not you too. Yeah, you can pray for them too as well if you want to do that. Pray for them, yeah, because
Yeah, be grateful
everybody
for
needs
what you have in
prayers.
front of you.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that is,
So
and whatever's being
yeah,
projected on the screen, we can only speculate, like not
hmm
being there makes things a lot different. And not to say that things are not happening and things are, like there's a lot of illusion, like with AI and everything. It's hard to
hmm
it's hard to tell
yeah,
what's
yeah, yeah, yeah. What's real? What's
what's
real?
real, especially
Yeah,
if it's being, you got to consider the source. Like there's a lot more things to consider these days. You can't just read
yeah.
the label. You have to like,
Mhm.
you have to find out who is putting this information on these labels.
Yes, you have to be multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the smallest. I was thinking about that today or yesterday, and it was like, again, we talk, coming into 2020 and 2021, it's like, oh, we're opening up our multidimensionality. Well, now we're in 2024. And a lot of this multidimensionality is about just this ground stuff. You got to be able to receive and consider so many different levels and elements, and see so many different levels and elements. Like your mindset has to also be able to see it from different levels and elements and frames. So yeah, we're in this definitely in this stage of life of we have to be multidimensional, and not just about tapping into different dimensions, but literally just seeing what's going on this one dimension in a multidimensional way, and realizing that yeah, there's several aspects to this. It's just not black and white. So yeah, going through the layers of it. Well, there's a whole lot of energy behind a lot of things working,
Yeah,
and
there's like fractals within fractals within fractals.
within fractals.
Yeah.
Yes, many, many, many. And I think again, that's what's being exposed and revealed to everybody now. The different layers of stuff is, there's the icing, and then there's the flour, and then there's the milk, and then there's the eggs, and then it's where the eggs come from, and then whose farm, what type of chicken it was, and whose farm,
Right.
who owns the farm, and then like did they
Yeah.
do anything to the eggs before they
Right. No, totally. I mean, it goes deep. What kind of feed are they feeding
Right.
these
It's
chickens?
not just like is it what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like we don't care at this point. What's in the egg is what I want to know, and what's in the chicken.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's rein it back in.
But yeah, we're expanding. We're expanding, and that expansion has so many different levels to it. Yeah. But this is what cosmic gems are about. Just shining, allowing the cosmos to shine within your life, and using them as gems. To come into our own abundance. So yeah, that's why we're here.
Most
I think this
definitely.
was a good introduction.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Yes. This was
so
very, very
we
thought-provoking.
have a lot to work with.
Always. Yeah. So yeah, the full moon will be a culmination of the energies that we have been considering in these mutable signs. So come the full moon will be illuminated, and it will be that I think you mentioned something earlier about, you feel like you've learned everything you need to know, and then you'll be on to like something new.
September, and this full moon in September has really, I'm merging and weaving, and everything is in alignment with me for the beginning of a lot of stuff and some endings and some endings. And I think maybe in October or November we could really see what ended in September. I
Oh
think that,
yeah. That's always the
yeah,
fun part is like looking back and seeing how everything's played
yeah, it's
out
like
and manifested.
yeah.
That's the
Hmm.
theme of these this year definitely like with the South Node in Libra and then even with the South Node moving into Virgo, there's always release in order for there to be room for the new.
Yeah. And
Well,
there's the beginning of the end, the middle of the end, and the end of the end. That's what
yes.
Spirit was just reminding me of. You know what
Oh,
I mean? Like the end sometimes doesn't just happen like one day. It's like, okay,
right.
here's where things really start to end. And then that October 28th could be like this is another it just life
Mm,
ends like that sometimes, or
right.
seasons end like that sometimes. Yeah. In stages. So this
Yeah.
could be the beginning of the end, and we could think about it that way, in a very optimistic way, for what we see coming around us, and the chaos and the stuff that we don't like, and just be like, you know what, this is the beginning of the end of all of that madness, or this is the midpoint of the end of all of this madness that we've been experiencing collectively for years and historically as the collective unit. So we're at the midpoint of a lot of this madness ending.
Yeah, and I think
or the,
Jupiter
or
and
the mid
Gemini,
years, the mid years of a lot of this madness ending.
yeah. I
We are.
feel like Jupiter and Gemini, Jupiter is like a very optimistic energy and keeping that sense of, light at the end of the tunnel while also exploring all the different surprising news that's coming in, information that's coming in, research that we're doing, like whatever we find, we are being asked to like keep a optimistic view of like even in the most, horrid of news, like we have to understand and
Yeah.
accept the like everything has an intention, like there's a purpose
Mhm.
to everything.
Yeah. And it's like you acknowledge that, yeah, there's ups and downs, there's good and there's bad, there's all, there's different aspects of it, there's duality, let's just call it that. There's duality in play, but as I move more into myself, I just get to decide what aspect, how I want to work with that duality. Do I want to merge that duality together, or am I putting that duality more, pulling that apart? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, like instead of getting angry about it, and I don't want to say instead of getting angry about it, but our actions. And if we just tie it into the full moon, our actions can speak for our anger. Our actions can speak for our response, and as you decide as an individual that, you know what, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to operate in this way, and I'm not, because I understand that the long term vision of that is that it impacts humanity in a negative way. If we all can respond in that way, we have a much better experience of life, so again, in being that optimist, yeah, be that optimist within your own response, like live in that optimistic path of there is a better way and I'm doing that.
Mhm.
As opposed to just complaining about stuff. Live the better way, think the better way, do the better thing in your own life. And that's so beyond thinking optimistically is just really, again, I'm about embodiment. So live optimistically, like do what is the better thing to do for the whole collective. You know what I mean? We have a choice in this thing. So if
Yeah,
you
there's
know
gonna be
yeah,
there's
if you
gonna
know
be
like what you're doing is actually adding to it, stop doing that. And I think that at some point we all have to just kind of like take that ownership into it. Like, I need to stop doing this because this adds to the destruction of humanity. Come on. You know what I mean? And the more we think that way, we don't have to look for the justice system to correct it. You know what I mean? Because again, we are living in this integrous way, So I don't know. Some people call it, optimistic or, or fairy tale or whatnot, but it is not even easy. And it is again the road less traveled. You know what I mean? To come into match, to come into balance within yourself and to be self-governed, that's not an easy path, and it's not the fairy path either. That takes stamina, endurance, and action and leadership. So part of coming into balance with all of this is us coming into order and balance within our own selves. And then
Hmm.
experiencing that as a collective because each of us are individually in order and living in order, you know what I mean? And in
Yeah.
harmonious order with what is opposite from us. I'm not saying for everybody to fall in line and do the same thing, but to come in order within yourself and then to be harmonious with your neighbor who came in
Mhm.
into order within himself, you know, and your sister who came into order with herself, you know, and not as trying to force ourselves upon each other to come into a certain order, you know, but if we all can find this order within our own self and our own expression, that's really what the age of Aquarius is this collectiveness of every individual standing in their own authentic power and that creating harmony. What we have now is a suppression of authenticity, you know, an oppression of individuality. And that is why that's one of the reasons why we are here, experiencing and correcting what has been going on in the backwards way for so long, not allowing individuals to be in order of themselves and their tribes and their cultures and whatnot, and forcing upon each other what somebody else wanted everybody else to be. You know, so again, freedom comes by allowing people to be free, you know, not by forcing people to go the way you want it to go. So there's this balance in that, you know, like you want freedom for yourself. Well, you gotta want it for your neighbor too. You gotta ask your neighbor what freedom means for him.
Yeah.
You know, so just keep that in mind too, you know, like
I mean, that can
it's not
also
easy
be
and it's
summed
a
up
big
to like,
concept. It's not easy.
that
Go
can be
ahead.
summed up to like a North Node in Aries, which is sovereignty, and then releasing that with the South Node in Libra, like the inauthenticity for the sake of, you know, going along to
Yeah.
get along.
Oh yeah, and I think that timeline is done.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that served its purpose, but that timeline is done.
Right.
And if we continue that, we just serve ourselves.
No, that's where we're coming into the North Node in Aries, where we're learning to release
Release that. Yeah.
and grieve and like dissolve those old paradigms.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we are.
Sometimes the unknown can be everything what we always knew. So trusting
Mhm.
what you're attracting.
Mhm. Trusting with,
So
yeah, trusting what you're attracting to. Yeah.
yes. So next time we will reconvene. I guess, I mean, if the full moon is on the 17th, at some point before then.
Yes. And we'll be back when the cosmos guide us too.
Right. We've got some, like cosmic planning to do.
As well as this is our first introductory one. So we just had, you know, a couple things to just get out there. So
Yeah, we
thank you
got
for
a lot
being here with us
to get
and
out.
just, you know, watching our first one. And we hope you enjoyed the edited version of this show.
Because we're putting a lot of energy into the editing version so that it's not 7 hours long. But so many gems dropped like in the full version. Like I really do believe that there's a lot of messages that are divinely coming through. So I am definitely looking forward to the next one. And gosh, was that all we were going to mention about this quarter moon?
I think we covered everything, Eva. I think we really
And
did.
then some. I think we covered everything.
There's no way we didn't cover everything. No way. I think we
Yeah,
covered way more.
more than
Um,
expected.
follow the path, and the stars
Right.
will blink on the way for you. It's like, you know, you don't, and not, what's the saying? Like, it's not until you get on the path then you start to like see what it is. And sometimes it's like we're waiting for all the signals to show us, but we haven't actually gotten on the path. So sometimes I'm like, just get it started and then the universe will instruct you what to do next. So yeah. Thanks for joining us. We've had so much fun. We hope that you receive some value from these cosmic gems tonight as well.
Hope to see you again for the full moon, lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 17th of September. Stay tuned.
Bye.